Bangladesh, 19 without loss.
Yeah, good batting again. He's just given himself some room, expecting the ball to be dragged into the pitch, whether it was going to be a slower ball or it was going to be seam up and try and bowl as quickly as Chris Woakes could. But it was predictable, but I don't mind in the power play being predictable because you've only got two fielders out there. The thing was, he didn't get it. He didn't follow the batsman. The bat gone to the leg side and he got to cramp him for room if he's going to bowl that length. Got to bowl to his leg side field. What happened there, he didn't, and it was a free hit down the ground. Good batting from Bangladesh.
So we're going to see the third change. This is the way England have gone about things. Archer possibly to bowl the fourth over, we shall see, but it's going to be Adil Rashid to bowl the third. He dismissed Talukder in the first T20 as this sees Lytton Das propping forward and defending Adil Rashid's first delivery. No run. Just seeing a replay of that four from the bowling of Chris Woakes. Rashid is in again, and this is a googly this time, but Lytton Das reads it, I think, cuts the ball very close to his body, and that comes through for a single. 21 without loss, Bangladesh. 2-0 up in the series, just this one to play. You're listening to live and exclusive coverage here on TalkSport 2 via DAB or online. This is dragged down by Rashid, will have to be bowled again. Wide called, the score moves to 21 without loss. Get in contact with us at cricket_TS at TalkSport 2. And if you are just joining us, welcome. Myself, John Norman, Steve Harmison alongside me as Rashid is in. And again, Talukder playing back. The ball kept a touch low, but comfortably played to Jofra Archer at wide mid-on for another single. 22 without loss.
Very slow, isn't it? No real turn. That's two googlies that Adil Rashid's bowled, and neither have gripped.
Yeah, no real turn. We saw a real turn in the first T20, but not too much today. As Lytton Das does a little shimmy to the leg side, then hops over to the offside and essentially tries to fall Adil Rashid. Tries to pull this up and over, but misses a ball, and wide has been called. Steve Harmson, you've got a big smile on your face there.
I think when the ball's...
Rashid again, down the leg side again, but this time Lytton Das is playing forward, smothers a spin, no run.
Yeah, I thought as Rashid let go of the ball, Lytton Das was his left leg was in a point where he was down the leg side. So is that a wide? But actually I've seen the replay, it's not, it was a wide.
Moeen Ali at first slip, Butler up behind the stumps as Rashid is in. This is on off stump. Fraction of movement away from Lytton Das this time, who again, he's easing his way into his work. Possibly the pressure of those low scores weighing heavy on him. No run again. One ball left of Rashid's first over. 4 runs coming from it, including 2 wides, and he's in. This is outside off stump. Googly again, Das on the cut, but he doesn't get anything like the purchase, and fortunate not to drag that back actually. 23 without loss then Bangladesh, 3 overs in. Steve Harmison.
Yeah, it's just that Lytton Das is just, he looks horribly out of form, doesn't he? He looks as though he's horribly out of form. We've all been there. I'm saying that we've all been there. Tucker's one of the best number 11 batsmen that's played the game, but he just looks as though he's trying to hit it too hard. He's not quite in sync with his foot movements and his hands. His head's fallen over, so it'll be important because he's an important player for this Bangladesh side. Lytton Das is an experienced player, 69th T20, that's a lot of T20 cricket, and they'll really need him to kick on once he gets in and gets going. And I think that will be the message from the other end is the longer we bat on this surface, hopefully the easier it will get, and it's difficult to start an innings on it. So I think that will be the message throughout the game to any batters on this surface. Somebody's got to take responsibility to win the game.
Well, one man who can take responsibility is Jofra Archer. He's about to bowl his first delivery. We're going to cross to Jarrod Kimber very, very shortly. But first, Archer up past the umpire. That is a flat-footed drive from Talukder, who's very close to being caught behind there. Jared.
Bowling in the power play. Last 3 years, he has an economy of 7 when bowling in the power play and an average of 25. The reason England haven't used him more is probably because of Curran, Wokes, and Moeen Ali, who all like to bowl there. But he's actually a really good option when he bowls up front for other teams.
Sorry, who was that? Because as Archer is in again, this is bounce, almost spiteful bounce that surprises Talukder. Tries to cut this delivery, but in the end fences the ball away from his face, hits him high up on the gloves. I'm not sure where that came from, to be honest.
I'm not sure he fenced that away. It hit his glove before it hit his face.
It hit him.
It did hit him. There you go. We'll keep an eye on that. I'm not sure your fader was up, so we heard all of what you just had to say there, Jared, but not the bowler's name. As Archer again is in. Short delivery. Talukder quick on the pull. No timing, 1 run, 24 without loss.
It was Adil Rashid I was talking about. So a very good bowler in the power play. But yeah, just it's hard to fit him into this side. But I know that, as someone who's worked with some of the franchises, that using him up top and even at the death is a very valid option for him. But for England, he's sort of become that middle overs bowler. So I like using him against these two guys specifically.
Rashid's been picked up, hasn't he, in an IPL team this year? Is that correct? Was Adil Rashid?
You're pointing at me really.
Did he not get retained? He was there last year as a injury replacement, and then he got retained. I'm sure he did.
Have a quick look, Jared. It'd be interesting to see how he's utilised and how you think he may be utilised. I know he has played a little bit of IPL, but I don't think he's played a huge amount.
I want to say Kings 11.
You can say Kings 11 if you like. Archer is in, and this is a short delivery again, but the line isn't right. Down the leg side. Litton Das eyes up a free hit essentially, but can't get back on ball, so Archer will have to bowl this again. 25 without loss, Bangladesh, 2-0 up in the 3-match series, halfway point of the 4th over. Sam Curran, Chris Wokes and Adil Rashid, the 3 bowlers used so far, up until this over by Jofra Archer. Jared.
Yeah, Adil Rashid bowled one game in 2021. That was for the Kings 11, but he's being signed.
Archer again. This is another mistimed shot from Litton Das. He'll pick up 4. He was trying to hit this far straighter than where the ball actually ended up. It was looped over cover point and away to the boundary. But the pace and the angle possibly doing for the batter. 4 runs to the score though. Bangladesh 29 without loss.
Yeah, but he was signed by Sunrisers for this season going ahead. So he hasn't played much. The thought is, if you have a look at his numbers in India, he doesn't have a particularly good record.
How many games has he played in India?
I think he's played about 20 T20s, mostly for England. Not much, obviously.
That is quite a few then. Straighter from Archer. There's a shot at the stump from backward point. Chris Wokes with the opportunity there to run. Talukder out. I think possibly if he had hit the stumps, then the opening bat would have been short. Phil Salt actually with the attempted throw from backward point. Let's have a look at the replay. Yeah, he'd given up. Talukder had given up. Litton Das calling him through for the run, possibly the non-striker's call actually. Either way, if Phil Salt had thrown the stumps down from backward point, then England would have picked up their first wicket of the day. As it is, it's another run to the score, and Archer is in for his final delivery of his first over. Again cramps Talukder for room. Take a single though. 4 overs in. Bangladesh 31 without loss.
Yeah, so Adil Rashid, it's 15 games, so I wasn't far off. He averages 37 in India with an economy of 8.3 runs, where if you compare that to his normal numbers, he averages 23 with an economy of 7.5. You put that together with the fact he played 1 IPL game and got tonked. That can happen to anyone. I think Hasaranga from Sri Lanka, he played his first IPL game and got smashed, and everyone said, another leg spinner who can't translate, and no one's been able to hit him in the IPL since. So sometimes those things can happen, but there is a feeling that he's a bit too slow for Indian pitchers.
Yeah, Jared, I'm just thinking, when was his last games in that? Because I don't know about you, but I think Adil Rashid's, he's like Jimmy Anderson, he seems to have improved so much in the last sort of 4 or 5 years.
That was 2021, mate.
Yeah.
Rashid is going to bowl his second over inside the power play, clipped away into the onside for a single. Talukder moves to 13, Litton Das 14. We've just seen pictures of the wind, not the wind itself, but the flags just starting to move. A little bit of wind whipping around the ground, possibility of a bit of bad weather. coming our way. We shall see. Start of the 5th over. Bangladesh off to a decent start. Litton Das 14 from 15, readies himself. This is flighted up, a little bit of whip, and down on the sweep is Das. That's the most impressive shot of the day so far. He'll take 4 to deep square leg. He moves to 18, and Bangladesh 36 for 2.
Good shot, total control. This is as fluid as he's been in the balls that Litton Das has been at the crease so far. He's gone down in motion, got there early. And there's a beautiful sweep shot. Head position's much better there. That's why he's made good connection and timed the ball.
A little bit of another movement, a jerky movement towards the leg side. Rashid doesn't follow him in this occasion and keeps the ball straight on the pads, and Darcy's forward clips this to, well, backward a square and comes through for a single. 19 from 17, Taluk to 13 from 10. Bangladesh 37 without loss with Adil Rashid. Ready to bowl again. He does. This is a beautiful delivery. Lots of loop, enticing Talukda, who went for the slog sweep. Possibly should have gone straighter with that shot. In the end, just dipped on him and through to the keeper. No run. Googly again down the leg wide. Another score, another run to the score. 38 without loss. 2 balls left of the 5th. I'll let you continue the Adil Rashid conversation if you so wish when Andrew McKenna comes on commentary duty in a couple of balls time. This time the reverse paddle sweep comes out the locker. Maybe he should have stayed there. Talukda is all at sea against Adil Rashid, it seems.
His head's bobbing around though, John, isn't it? Head's bobbing around. He doesn't look as though he's balanced at all.
Last ball of the over. Movement to the offside, and he'll just dead bat this delivery. I think that was probably the wise decision. Rashid's second over has come to an end. 11 runs from the 2 of them. 5 overs in. Bangladesh, who lost the toss. Josh Butler won his first toss in 8 and asked Bangladesh to bat first. Ronnie Talukda 13 from 12. Litton Das needs a score, is 19 from 17. And after a quick word from Harmy, it will be Andrew McKenna.
Yeah, I just think Adil Rashid has improved so much, Jared, when it comes to whether his numbers in India or don't back that up. But I think it's very difficult when the best time for Adil Rashid to bowl, because he's so important. We haven't had a great deal of Wood or Archer in the longer format or the white ball format of the game, so the wicket taking option for Joss Butler and for Owen Morgan before that was always Adil Rashid. Do you get him in the middle? Do you get him nearer the end? Can you get him on at the start? I think without Wood and Archer, that's always been the conundrum.
Yeah, I mean, on his improvement, I do think he's a better bowler now. It's whether that translates to India. And, I mean, obviously the Sunrisers have taken a bet. I've always thought that even if he doesn't play in the IPL, he's just a perfect backup.
Absolutely. Right, Archer continue. Second over, right arm over, inside edge from Litton Das. Down to fine leg where Rashid is stationed. And a single is taken.
In fact, it's one thing that the IPL doesn't do very well. If you compare it to something like the NFL or Premier League football, they'll have a striker that might only play 4 games a year, right? You know, some tall athletic striker they can bring off the bench. Because the IPL overseas benches are so short, you can't actually have someone like Adil Rashid who might only play for 3 games, but he might win you 2 of them. And you know you don't have to play him in every game. So I think it's something that in future we'll see bigger benches in the IPL because of that.
Bangladesh 39 without loss. They're in the 6th over. Jofra Archer goes in, bowls quickly. Rani Talakdar pulls to mid-wicket. Duckett will get round, gets a left hand on it but can't stop it. He should have stopped that, and Archer knows that as he walks back to his mark. There's a little bit of frustration on his face. But Bangladesh are 43 without loss now here on TalkSport 2. Kath Dalton's moved in alongside.
I have indeed, and that was a poor bit of fielding by Ben Duckett. He should be very disappointed with himself there. He actually just came up of Jofra Archer's speeds in the 1.2 overs he's bowled, and he's mixed up his pace really well so far, so he'll be disappointed with that one going for 4.
Yeah, Duckett had to move a long way to his left, but got there. Now, Ronnie Talakdar has gone for this one from Archer, but he spooned it up in the air. Arayan Ahmed drops it at short third. And Archer has hands on head, covering up his face and mouth. Now, Rayan Ahmed's in his second T20 international, but he should have held that. That's just quick. He's got big on Talakdar, He gets underneath it, spoons it up. It's going to land just outside of the 30-metre circle. And Rayan Ahmed hasn't gone for hands high to bring it in. He's got lowish hands, chest height, and then he's cushioning it and getting lower all the time. And as soon as it goes through his hands, he hasn't got time for a second grab at it, and it hits the grass. Archer to come in and bowl again to Litton Das because they've taken a single. Push and run to mid-off. Jordan throws at the stumps and misses. Well, that could have been 2 in 2. It's actually 45 without loss, Kath Dalton.
It was all going on there, wasn't it? That was a very poor drop in the inner ring at third man, and there should have been a run out there again. Chris Jordan, we know he's so good in the field. Would it been out? Ooh, direct hit? No, he would have been in. But England pride themselves on their fielding, and that's been a poor 2 balls by them.
Yep, Litton Das would have beaten the throw had it hit, but it was close. Archer to go in again. That one again is a slow one that grips and stands up a long, long way. Ronnie Talakdar is just helping it around the corner, and they will take a single. 46 without loss. Talakdar has 19 from 16. Litton Das 21 from 19. I'll tell you what, Ronnie Talakdar is going to need some new gloves at the end of this game. He's been hit on them a few times already, and actually at the non-striker's end now, he's got the old glove off of the top hand and is ringing it out, as you might imagine when you get hit by Jofra Archer.
Yeah, it's that change of pace again, isn't it? He's gone 91 mile an hour, then that last delivery 74 miles an hour, but it's hit the seam and it's bounced. That's why Jofra is so difficult to face.
Final ball of his second over is quick and is past Litton Das's outside edge. He's trying to fiddle it down to third, doesn't get anything on it. So that is the power play done. 46 without loss of Bangladesh after 6 overs. Doesn't really tell the story of that first 6 overs, if I'm entirely honest with you. In terms of where that stands in this series, in the first game, England were 51 without loss and were 50 for 1 in the second game. First time that Bangladesh had batted first, and they put 46 on the board in the opening 6.
And they could have easily lost a few more wickets there. Litton Das doesn't look in great touch, but he's played a few good shots that might just see him back into form. They did struggle to pick the googly, in my opinion. They looked like they were struggling to pick Rashid's googly on occasions. They were looking to cut when it was a googly. Jofra Archer, again, has bowled very well there. He's just such a great bowler, isn't he? After 2 years being out, how can you be that good?
Scary good. Rayan Ahmed straight into the attack for the 7th over. Bowling to Ronnie Talakdar, pushes through the covers, and they will come back for a couple. So this is the 7th over. Rayan Ahmed is the 5th bowler that England have used already. They have the bowling options, so you might as well try them.
Yeah, absolutely, especially you don't want batters to get set.
Rayan Ahmed is in. This is slightly short, a leg break. Ronnie Talakdar tries to chop it away, gets nothing on it, and it's through to the keeper. Jos Buttler, no run. Rayan Ahmed turns. He's only 2 or 3 steps. He's in, bowls, and off the back foot, Talakdar finds Duckett on the point boundary for a single. 49 without loss.
There's something to be said about mixing up the bowlers, changing up who's facing who. It just unsettles you as a batter. You're always facing something different, and you're always having to think about your new game plan. It's a good idea by England so far.
Litton Das faces Rayan Ahmed, who's beaten on the outside edge. And through to keeper Jos Buttler, no run. Now this is interesting because Rayan Ahmed bowled predominantly googlies the other day, and that he's bowled, generally speaking, leg breaks all the way. That's another leg break. Litton Das goes on the reverse, tries to paddle it past short third, gets nothing on it, keeper taken. So it's interesting that he's already concentrating more on leggies.
Yeah, it's good to see him tossing it up as well. He's bowling them very full, trying to get that nick to the keeper. It's good to see he's not dragging them down. He looks a little bit more confident today, doesn't he? Tossing it up a little bit more air.
Right. He's at the end of his mark. Ball in hand. Now he's on his way. Right arm over. That one is slightly shorter and it's hammered into the offside. Duckett will get round. But again, he's gone at it one-handed, trying to bat it back. Misses it on this occasion, and it goes to 4. The Bangladesh 50 is up 53 without loss after 7 overs here on TalkSport 2.
Yeah, it was a good shot, wasn't it, into the deep? But again, Ben Duckett's not having a good day out on that boundary. He'd be disappointed that he didn't stop that, but really good to see Ryan Ahmed finally bowling some leg break deliveries, tossing up, giving a bit of air. That one he just dragged it down a little bit too short, and it was just pounced on, wasn't it? So good start by Bangladesh. They'll be happy with this. They've got a platform to build on from here, and England really need to take a few wickets.
Absolutely. Of course, it is the start of the Cheltenham Festival today. Commentary of the 6 races are all live across the TalkSport network, either here on TalkSport 2 or over on TalkSport. Every race of the card will be coming your way over the course of the next few days.
Are you a racing fan, Macca?
I've had one day at Cheltenham in my life, and it was an interesting experience, I have to say. It was a very interesting experience. Not a massive fan, but it's one of those occasion things. It's just a massive humanity. Right, Adil Rashid, so we're going to have leg spin at both ends. He starts Ronnie Talakdar with a googly on this occasion, and it's played back down the pitch. No run. Yourself?
Not many. I've been to a few Boxing Day events at the races, but not too many, no.
Rashid, always a lot of air on that one outside of off stump, and Ronnie Talakdar has hammered it into the offside. Very, very well fielded by Phil Salt out on the cover boundary. He stopped it. He's then had to have a couple of goes to actually pick it up, but it's only 2. So Talakdar goes to 24 from 21. That got out to Phil Salt in a hurry, and he absolutely made sure it didn't get past him.
That was a brilliant bit of fielding, wasn't it? Full length dive. He's saying, Ben Duckett, that's how you do it.
Rashid goes in. It's a attempted reverse that's looped up, and Adil Rashid takes a caught and bowled. And Talakdar goes. He just got a little bit too inventive on himself on that occasion. Tried to play the reverse, got in a tangle, and from the toe end, just the gentlest of return catches to Adil Rashid, who had to take 4 or 5 steps forward, takes the catch, and England have their breakthrough.
I think that's hit the bottom of his bat, literally the bottom of his bat, so he'd be massively disappointed. Completely mistimed shot on the reverse. Rashid, though, he's such a clever bowler. He always finds a way of taking wickets, doesn't he? Always has that knack of taking wickets when England need it, and I think they needed one there, but very, very mistimed shot. They used to call that having the Q end of the bat.
That's right.
Yeah,
Call for chalk.
I did that last year in a game, embarrassing enough, I'm saying on national radio, but it does happen. Completely mistimed.
Some of my best shots were off the Q end.
Playing the wrong sport there, Macca.
Absolutely. So, breakthrough, but it brings Najmul Hussain Shanto to the crease. 46 not out from 47 balls the other day, and in the first game, 51 from 30. So 2 different innings, actually. The first one was much more hitting. The second one, much more situation dependent.
Doesn't that just show you what a class player he is becoming? When you're able to play the situation, you can accelerate when you want to, you can sit in and bat time if you have to, if your team are in a bit of trouble. Shanto, I think, is a young star who we're going to hear a lot more of over the next couple of years.
55 for 1. We're halfway through the 8th over. Left-hander, of course. Rashid will stay over the wicket to him. Starts with a leg break. Shanto's deep in his crease, punching to Wokes. They're deep at point, and so he's underway straight away with a single. 56 for 1.
And I know I'm going to big someone up here, but Toby Radford has worked a lot with Shanto. Very, very good batting coach, and when he was out there in Bangladesh working with their emerging players, so Toby's got a lot. He's got a lot to thank Toby for, shall I say?
He's at the non-strikers end watching Lytton Das, who plays as late as he could, still coming forward to a leg break from Adil Rashid. Pushes it out into the offside. Josh Butler sprints out from behind the stumps, and there is no run. 1 for 14 for Adil Rashid. This is the final ball of his 3rd over, about to be sent down. 3 and a wicket so far from this one. Rashid goes another leg break, and again just a little bit pushed back towards the bowler by Lytton Das. Then it was aerial for a couple of metres, lands in the end safely enough. Rashid can gather in his follow through. Bangladesh 56 for 1 after 8 overs here on TalkSport 2.
Yeah, and that was a really great delivery. Really nice delivery by Rashid to finish. When he bowls that middle stump line, they tend to get a lot of caught and bowls. even sometimes they drag it down in that area. We've seen a lot of drag downs get caught on bowls in this series so far, but that line with a bit of flight by Rashid on middle stump, it's just difficult as a batter. Where do you go from there? How are you going to score off that delivery? Rashid, I think, as we've spoken about so far on air, he's such a good bowler, he's such a clever bowler, and he's really come of age over the last few years.
Rayan Ahmed to continue to Shanto. He will bowl over the wicket as well. Shanto's coming forward to a ball pitching outside of his off stump, turning back in towards him, drives it to long off for a comfortable single. So he's 2 from 2, 57 for 1 in the ninth. Bangladesh here on TalkSport 2. And don't forget, football continuing this evening here on TalkSport 2. We're back in the Championship. Middlesbrough are hosting Stoke. The boys will be on air to bring you all the build up to that from 6 o'clock. Business part of the season coming up, of course. Rayan Ahmed goes into a lot of air on that one. Lytton Das takes it almost on the half volley, punches down to mid-on. Chris Jordan will gather. No way even Chris Jordan can prevent 2 on that occasion. 59 for 1. Lytton goes to 27 from 26.
He's just started to find a bit of timing. That was a little bit over pitched there, but he's just started to find some timing. Punched that down the ground for 2. Start to get a bit more confidence in his innings. It's looking good so far.
Rayan Ahmed once again beats Lytton Das on the outside edge. Joss Butler whips off a bail. Lytton's back foot has never moved, but that's an absolute ripper of a delivery.
That's a fantastic delivery, isn't it? He's actually looked to turn that into the leg side and it's beaten him. Commentators cursed nearly there. I was just praising him.
Yeah, absolutely. Can he follow that one up? It's a big googly from Rayan Ahmed on that occasion. Lytton takes it on the pad and it loops up as he was trying to go on the reverse, and it landed safely away from Joss Butler. It was a googly and it turned big again.
Yeah. It started to turn a little bit more. I think early on we didn't see a huge amount of turn, but that certainly did grip.
Rayan Ahmed goes in, starts this one straighter. Lytton Das plays it back just past Rayan Ahmed, down to long off where Jofra Archer is. They'll take 2. Archer's throw goes all the way to the keeper's end at the far end. There's 2 either way. Lytton goes to 29 from 29. Bangladesh 61 for 1 here on TalkSport 2.
Yeah, another nice shot, wasn't it? Down the ground, full face of the bat. They're running really well, Bangladesh. They're running a lot of 2s with this outfield. So
it's also low risk cricket, isn't it? Which
absolutely.
In T20 cricket, it sometimes gets a bit frantic and whatever. I mean, they've got 5 from the over so far, 2 2s and a single. Now, he's given himself some space to the leg side, chops it past Adil Rashid at short third, and that's going to go away for 4. And all of a sudden, the over's gone for 9, and you haven't really done that much. The bowler will feel he's not really done that much wrong either. But Bangladesh are 65 for 1 with 1 over left in the first half of the innings. 9 gone. Lytton's got 33 from 30. Shanto 2 from 2.
And that's just clever batting, as we've just said. When you do push those 2s hard and you get them, you're rotating the strike regularly, you start to get a bit of rhythm and flow to your batting, and then you end the over with a 4, and as a bowler that's a nightmare. Possibly Rashid could have stopped that in the inner ring at 3rd, maybe a bit harsh, but he made some room, didn't he, Lytton Das, and picked that gap. And if you do rotate the strike, pick off the bad ball every over, you're going at a good run rate without, as you said, Macca, without taking too much risk, and that's what they're doing so far.
Just on the fact, Macca, that there was 2 leg spinners bowling at the same time. If you haven't followed a lot of Bangladesh cricket, you might be thinking, well, why on earth would you bowl 2 leg spinners to Asian batters? BPL, me and Gary Morgan have both done the stats here. We've got slightly different databases we're looking at. I've got in the BPL in the last 3 years that 2.5% of the deliveries have been leg spin. He's got 3.5. Let's split the difference and say it's 3%. The global average is about 10 or 12, so it's less than a third, really, of anywhere else.
Wow. Sam Curran to start his second over goes and bowls a slower ball to Shanto that stands up waist height. He paddles it round the corner to fine leg and takes a single 66 for 1.
On top of that, generally the leg spin that is bowled there is not particularly good, so it has higher average as well. It's a lot of local kids they throw in and hope for the best. But almost all the lack of leg spin is taken up by one form of bowling. Do you want to guess what that might be, Macca, as someone who's watched Bangladesh cricket and this particular squad?
Well, it might be some left arm spin.
It is left arm finger spin, correct. Bing, 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 bing. Of which it makes up almost all the gap of leg spin is made up by left arm finger spin, which they are the nation of left arm finger spin, and they've struggled with leg spin so much so that the BCB actually brought in a rule at one stage that every team had to pick a fast bowler and a leg spinner, and it didn't work because it doesn't work in Bangladesh as well as it does in other places.
Wow, I love the fact they've actually brought in a rule. Curran for the second ball of the over, and Litton Das just opens the face, beats the fielder at point, and it runs away for a very low risk, very high reward boundary 4, and Bangladesh is 70 for 1 in the 10th.
Yeah, lovely shot, wasn't it? Just stayed in his crease, kept nice and balanced, great head position, gently opened the face of the bat, and as you said, Maka, a risk-free shot that's just gone for 4. That's really frustrating for Curran. He's got his head in his hands. Those ones, when they go for 4, they are very annoying as a bowler.
So, yeah, exactly. Curran in once again on the leg stump of Litton Das. They've taken one to mid-on. Are they going to take on the arm of Chris Wokes? No, they're not. So a single 71 for 1. It's almost like we've had a change in policy here from Bangladesh, particularly from Litton Das, in the fact that it's not really coming on. It's hard to play big shots. Therefore, it's not quite nudge and nurdle, but it's actually pick your gaps, time the ball, and we're going to run hard.
A bit more like traditional cricket, isn't it? Rather than the big 6 hitting that we have come to see in T20 cricket. Really clever batting so far.
Curran into the left-handed Shanto, takes this off of middle stump really, straight out to duck it on the boundary. In fact, sorry, it's Salt, and they will take a single 72 for 1. 2 balls left in the 10th over.
And there's a big crowd in, isn't there? It's good to see, even though the series is won by Bangladesh, as we were saying before we came on air, they love their cricket, they're passionate about their cricket. It's just really good to see almost a full house there.
Absolutely. Litton Das has 38 now from 32, gets a short one from Sam Curran, pulls but with no timing. No man inside the 30-metre circle in front of square though, so it's going to bumble its way out to Ben Duckett, coming off of the boundary, and a single taken, 73 for 1.
I know that was another slower ball by Sam Curran into the surface, into the pitch, but we haven't really seen too many pull shots being timed in this whole series. Even in the ODI series, we saw a lot of people getting caught trying to go for the pull shot. Just shows you that bounce. We had one ball by Jofra Archer that did bounce a bit more, so that invariable bounce is difficult.
It was a good point Kath was making, but that huge cheer isn't for it. It's because Sam Curran oversteps, and therefore it's a no ball and a free hit. Shanto will be on strike. Be interesting to see whether he just goes completely potty with this one or not. Curran in, left arm over, goes a short ball, that's going to be a wide. He's dug it in, it's gripped in the surface, it's ballooned over Shanto's head, so it's a wide, but it remains the free hit. 75 for 1, still 2 balls left in the 10th.
That's always the one you look at the umpire shocked, isn't it? Just bowled a loopy, slower ball bouncer into the surface, clearly a wide, and Sam Curran's just having a little look at the umpire. Are you sure, mate?
You've got to sell it hard, haven't you? Let's be
Absolutely.
fair. Oh, blimey, that was close. No, it wasn't, Sam. Sam Curran's bowled 10 legitimate deliveries. They've gone for 17 so far. Now, Joss Butler's going to go all the way down and have a conversation with his mate and try and establish what's going on. They're actually having a chat with the umpire about something. And the conversation is about the batsman changing ends and whether they're allowed to change the field, because technically speaking, you're not allowed to change the field when it's the free hit. But I'm just trying to sort of listen into this conversation, and they're not happy about something, England, here, are they?
It's not a legal ball.
So are England are trying to say that because of the change of ends they can change the field, Jared? Is that what you're hearing?
So what happened on the no ball? I'm just trying, because I remember seeing
I think they may have run a 1.
So I think then you can change the field.
So you can change the field.
And I think the umpires have got confused here.
Yeah.
I think this is Lytton Das playing a blinder, by the way, trying to confuse the umpires even more.
Yeah. On that time they change. Again no white ball. Again not change. Yeah. No, the batsman is not changing. Let's check.
So umpires Shafadullah and Tanveer Ahmed have had their conversation.
Same. It will be same. It will be the same.
So first of all they said, right, you've
Ah.
got to change, and then they said, no, actually it's the same.
I think the wide has confused the situation because they're saying, well, it's a second free hit after the wide, and I think that has confused them even further than it should have, if we're being honest, because the batters had already changed ends, right?
Exactly. Right, we can finally get back going. Shanto's on strike to Sam Curran, and he goes in towards the base of middle and leg. Shanto hits down to Chris Jordan at long on for a single. 76 for 1 with 1 ball left of the 10th over.
After all that chat, just went for a single. I was expecting fireworks, Macca. I was looking forward to it. There was a lot of build-up to that delivery.
Yeah, a bit let down from that. So, 10 from the over so far. Boundary, wide, no ball, and 4 singles. So the final ball of the first half is about to be delivered by Sam Curran. He goes in, left arm over the wicket, and Lytton Das is just coming forward and playing a perfectly good ball into the offside. David Milan will field at point square on the offside, and that is the first half done and dusted. 77 for 1. England winning the toss and bowling here on TalkSport 2. They made no changes to their team today. England, Bangladesh did make a couple. Lytton Das and Ronin Talukdar were the openers once again. Lytton Das is still there, got 40 from 34. Ronin Talukdar was caught and bowled by Adil Rashid. He made 24 from 22 balls, was out halfway through the 8th over with a score 55 for 1. Shanto has gone in and joined him. He's got 5 from 5. Bowling for England so far, 2 overs from Curran have cost 19. Wokes 1 over for 12. 3 overs, 1 for 14 for Adil Rashid. Jofra Archer 2 overs for 15. Rayan Ahmed 2 overs for 16. Kath Dalton, your thoughts at this halfway stage, and I'll move out the way as John Norman and Steve Harmison come in.
I think Bangladesh will be very happy with the way they've started. Lytton Das, who wasn't in great form up into this game, 40 off 34 balls so far, and he's starting to build a nice partnership. Shanto is still fairly new to the crease, only faced 5 balls, but they're starting to build a platform, and at this stage of the game they'll be pretty happy with this start. England, on the other hand, might be a little bit disappointed that they didn't take a few more of those chances, a drop catch and a few poor misfields out in the deep. So I think it's evenly balanced so far, but Bangladesh may be in the ascendancy.
Thank you very much, Kath Dalton and Andrew McKenna. Myself, John Norman, Steve Harmison alongside me, as well as Jared Kimber. And yes, I mean, England have chopped and changed their bowlers, as we've seen throughout this series, haven't we, Harmy? But it's quite difficult at times to really learn much, to get much from what we've seen when bowlers are only bowling a couple of overs here or there. You know, what conclusions can be brought. Rayan Ahmed, that drop that Kath Dalton was mentioning, bad one as well. Talukdar dropped by Rayan Ahmed at short third from the bowling of Jofra Archer. In the end, it didn't make too much difference. Talukdar was out shortly afterwards, caught bowled Rashid. But yeah, it's just been a bit of a fitful campaign from England so far, Harmy. Let's continue today. We'll get Harmy back in a second. We'll just fiddle around with his mic. Is that you? Your end, Harmy?
I think it was my end. Unfortunately, I switched my mic off. I was listening too carefully and not put my mic back on. But what I was saying was, I was sloppy there. But England have been sloppy in this first half of this T20. Wides, no balls, misfields, drop catch.
Moeen Ali to bowl his first delivery. He's pitched up, it's full. On the sweep is Das. Squirts out to backward square leg where Adil Rashid fields. 77 for 1, you were saying?
Yeah, just wides. We've had a few wides. We've had a no ball, a drop catch, a couple of misfields. It's just been sloppy by England. Bangladesh should be over the moon, the position they're in halfway.
Yeah, I was just, while I was off air, I was thinking about Sam Curran actually, and I was thinking about his schedule, matches he's played, the form he's shown at international and domestic level as Ali is in, and Shanto has climbed into this full delivery, which has drifted onto the left-hander's pads and smashed it over long on for 6. A fine shot, a fine batter, and he is in fine form. Shanto moves to 11. Bangladesh 84 for 1. Pressure back on England.
This is a shot, John. This is a shot. It's a half volley, yes, but boy, this is a shot of a man who's in a bit of touch and a bit of form. Full flourish to the back. 90 metres.
Pressure back on Moeen Ali then. Around the wicket. A fraction of width given to the batter, who rocks back, cuts square. Comes back for a second as well as Shanto moves to 13. Yeah, I was just trying to think of Sam Curran's, where's he been playing, what's he been playing, and we've spoken a lot about the schedule. We don't need to revisit that, but that kind of stop-start feel to proceeding. What has this winter been about? Has it been about the World T20? Has it been the Pakistan Test Series? Has it been that incredible 2 Test Series against New Zealand? Has it been South Africa ODIs? Has it been Bangladesh limited overs? Has it been the SA20? I mean, it's a bit all over the place as Ali is in. This is flatter, angled down the leg side, and there's a race for the fielder at short fine. Chris Wokes will mop up. Another couple of runs to the score. 88 for 1 now, Bangladesh. Maybe that's part of the problem. It's difficult for these, but they know that come tomorrow, it's all going to be about the IPL for many of them, and they're going to stick around on the subcontinent. They're going to come back to the UK for a couple of weeks. They're going to head to Dubai for a bit of R&R. Ali again, and he's surprised Shanto this time. The ball sticking in the pitch a fraction. The batter a little bit too soon on the shot. A leading edge, which could have gone back to the bowler, just pops up and drops a couple of metres to the right of Moeen Ali. No run. On the reverse this time is Shanto. He does get bat on ball, but this ball goes finer than he intended. Comes through for a single. We'll have a little look at the ump. No, that is the end of the over. 12 runs coming from it. Bangladesh 89 for 1.
Do you think that's the modern day cricketer now, John? I think bring Jared in because he's obviously across more of the world game. That players like Sam Curran, how many times, John, have we had a conversation? How do I get Sam Curran in the Test team? How do I get him into every England side? But when you look at it now across the world, these short format tournaments that come, I think that's the modern day cricketer. It's been such a not stop-start winter, but a winter of some of these players have had some ridiculous air miles over the course of the last 6 months. I think that's the way the game's going.
Well, Sam Curran's really interesting because obviously he's kind of a new T20 player, right? And yet he's having to go to all these different tournaments and play. So for Surrey last summer, the last 6 games of the year, he went at 10 runs and over. For the Invincibles, he went at 9 runs and over, slightly better for them. When he played for England, though, he went at 7.5 runs and over, which means in Australia, he had an economy rate in the World Cup of 6.8. In England, he had an economy rate of 9.2, and Pakistan, he had one at 7.5. His numbers are all over the place, and if you look at this year, it's exactly the same again.
Shanto facing the left-hander as Chris Jordan to bowl his first ball of the match. It's pitched up, and there'll be 1 run taken to the offside. 89 for 1, Bangladesh.
So he played 9 games for the Mumbai Indians, Cape Town, and he went at almost 9 runs and over again. And then here he's been at 7.4 runs and over, but his average has ballooned up to 52. So if you think about all the different ways all those different teams have used him, so we know that he was very good bowling at the death for England, but also when he's bowled at the death for Surrey, it hasn't worked, right? And now you've got him back bowling in the power play again, which England really didn't use much in that World Cup. It's very hard, Harmy, from tournament to tournament. Sam Curran is used in a different role every time. He's a different cricketer for almost every team he plays for, and then even England changed their role with him.
Jordan again, beaten this time, Lytton Das. There's a cutter, I think, from Jordan. Either way, Lytton Das doesn't get anywhere near it. The ball keeps a little low. Could have inside edged that back onto his stumps. And there in itself, isn't it? There is the situation for Sam Curran, Steve Harbinson.
Absolutely. When you think of it, John, a couple of years ago when we were TalkSport 2 in the Caribbean, he was playing one days and test matches. That's it. now he's franchised out all over the world.
Das readies himself. 41 from 36. He needed an innings and he's got one. This is a Yorker length delivery from Jordan. Once again, Das deceived. Couldn't get his bat down on the ball. No run. 90 for 1 Bangladesh.
Just to add to that, one thing, I remember talking to all the West Indian guys in that sort of golden T20 era, and their big thing was they would play in the lower leagues and they would work out a role, and then they would basically sell themselves to each franchise and team in that role. So Kyron Pollard's like, I bat, 5 or 6, I bowl these overs. Dwayne Bravo, I want to bat at 6 or 7, and I want to bowl in the death. Everyone had a very, very clear role.
Jordan again. This is a slower delivery. It's shorter in length, and Lytton Das has seized upon this, smashing this away over deep square for 4. Bangladesh 94 for 1 in the 12th.
You look at a player like Sam Curran, you can throw in someone like Rishabh Pant, where Rishabh Pant has batted everywhere from 1 to 5, depending on where the team has needed him at any one time, and he's only playing for India and one franchise. Sam Curran's doing that across a bunch of different franchises and a team where he has to fit into what England want as well, which means that how do you specialise and how do you get good at one thing if you don't get to do it very often? You might have a situation where you have a great World Cup, but will you be good consistently?
Das readies himself. Another slow delivery from Jordan. It's in the slot though. On the drive is Das, and he times this well. Pops it over extra cover and away to the boundary for another 4. 98 for 1 Bangladesh. Jared, so what role does Sam Curran play for Chennai yet? He won the IPL, didn't he?
So when he played for Chennai, he bowled power play overs. Quite often didn't even finish his overs with the ball. Didn't come back at the death and didn't bowl that much in the middle. So from team to team, he's a completely different player.
1 run shy of 50. Lytton Das readies himself. Jordan's been hit for 2 4s. He's in, short again, and this pops up. Lytton Das takes his eye off the ball, aborts this pull shot, and he's hit on the side of the helmet, so might have to have a little check here. 12 overs in though, that is the end of the over. Bangladesh, they are sitting pretty. Partnership of 43 from 29 between Lytton Das and the main man Shanto. Bangladesh 98 for 1. Yeah, that's fascinating actually, isn't it, Jared? We've seen it in a similar situation. Moeen Ali, been moved around. Johnny Bairstow's been moved around within England, that is. But yeah, you talk about the Sonny on the Ryans, maybe the Kyron Pollards, the Dwayne Bravos.
I remember, do you remember Carlos Brathwaite had that big World Cup, right? And afterwards he couldn't maintain the runs. So he went off to the smaller leagues, worked on his bowling a little bit so he could come back as a better bowler, and then he could bat at 7 or 8 and you could put him up the order when it was the last 4 overs. Because if he goes any earlier than that, Carlos Brathwaite can't play spin. Right? Use him for that, but his bowling had to get better. So he could do that. He took the hit for a year, went and got a personal trainer, changed his physique a little bit to help him with bowling, all these sorts of things. It's very hard for some of these other players to do any of that sort of stuff, right? Especially if you're a major international player and you can't leave. And if you're Sam Curran, you've literally gone from one kind of cricketer to another kind of cricketer, and suddenly, as Harmy said, that's not even including the fact he was a Test and ODI cricketer before that. It's reinventing yourself. How do you know what you're good at if every team you do something different at? And it's one thing, I've talked to a lot of franchise players about that. They say their biggest problem isn't that they're not good consistently. It's that at this team they open, at this team they bat 7, at this team they're a bowler, and this team they're not a bowler.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff. Rain Ahmed about to bowl his 3rd over, and it's driven by Shanto for a single to wide-ish mid-on. 99 for 1 Bangladesh. Well, here we go again, and looking good for a score here. Low scoring encounter in the second T20. It was nip and tuck in the first, but lost 10 T20s as Rain Ahmed is in again. This is straighter, just outside off stump, clipped away for a single. 100 up for Bangladesh and 50 for Lytton Das as well. He holds the banner aloft. Applause from his coaching staff, the teammates and this crowd. It's been really well attended, this 3-match T20 series. Bangladesh rightfully proud of their white ball side, shown great progress over the last few years, certainly in 50 over cricket. There were just a couple of signs in the T20 World Cup as well, as Shanto's down on the sweep. The angle of delivery from Ahmed too far down the leg side, and possibly fortunate to get away with this. Fielded by Chris Wokes at deep backward square. Another run to the score. You know, a couple of victories in the T20 World Cup just suggested that Bangladesh were kind of going in the right direction, but also the decision to pick players who are in good form in the BPL has paid off, as Litton Das is down on the reverse sweep, picks out Adil Rashid at short third, and there's no run.
He's played really well, Litton Das. He's given himself some time at the start of his innings, and he's now taking responsibility. And I think that's the big thing.
On the sweep again, gets a big leg forward there, does the batter. Just the one run though. Yeah, I mean, with Sam Curran, going back to this time last year, he of course was coming back from that injury that had ruled him out of the Ashes, ruled him out of the West Indies series, and then of course he did have time. The left-handed Shanto has just heaved Rayan Ahmed up and over mid-wicket into that packed stand that are celebrating up on their feet, and that's another maximum. 25 to Shanto. His great run continues, partnership of 53 from 13, and that's an expensive third over from Rayan Ahmed. 108 for 1 Bangladesh, and they are in a great position here to really push on. Can they possibly complete a clean sheet over England? They've only ever managed a clean sheet against Ireland in their history in T20 cricket. Well, they are certainly putting themselves in a great position to do so. Crowd really building up as well. Whatever happens, we're going to have plenty of excitement in the stands. But yeah, so this time last year Sam Curran was coming back into professional cricket. He'd suffered that back injury. The ECB played a big part in how many overs he could bowl for Surrey. Played a fair amount of red ball cricket. Hit his maiden first-class century for Surrey in quick time, and possibly, you know, that gave him a little bit of a chance to find his game. I mean, I was actually quite surprised that his economy was as high as Jared says it was in white ball cricket in Surrey's NatWest Blast campaign. But now, of course, it's to the IPL. Archer back, that's a top edge. On the pull is Litton Das, and he's been dropped by Ben Duckett at mid-wicket. Well, the sloppy nature of English cricket at times, picked up upon by Steve Harmison earlier on today, typified by that drop. A terrible drop by Ben Duckett, usually safe in the outfield. Archer should have 2 wickets today. Instead, it's another couple of runs in the scorebook.
Yeah, just a wry smile from Jofra Archer. He knows he's beat the batsman. Ben Duckett will not need anybody to explain. That was an easy catch. Just takes his eyes off it right to the last minute. Doesn't go in.
Again, dabbed down to third. Litton Das moves to 54. The score, Bangladesh 111 for 1 now.
I think to finish on Sam Curran, John, I think when you look at it, I think the injury finished his test match career, as in, not finished as in total, but just in this short period. But you mentioned 3 or 4 names there before in Moeen Ali, Johnny Bairstow, and I think there was somebody else you mentioned. The minute they started getting swapped around and chopped and changed, that's when their form dipped as well.
I mean, it'd be interesting to bring Kath in, actually. She's the coach, of course. Archer in. Good length delivery. Gives the batter a little bit of the hurry up. Shanto tries to drop this into the onside and run, but nothing there. Bangladesh 111 for 1. I'm going to pull rank and just see if Kath can join us. Hopefully her mic is going to be on. Midway point of the 14th. I mean, when you're coaching, Kath, you know, how important is it that, you know, the players have clear and precise roles? Short again, and swivel pull from Shanto will certainly get 1. He wants 2. And he's sent back wisely so. He moves to 26 to score 112 for 1.
Yeah, it's vital that you have game plans and roles that are clear for players. If a player doesn't know what role they're fulfilling, then their game plan could be very different. They can get very confused. So we talk a lot about matchups and statistics, and that is all done pre-game. We have huge long team meetings. I'm sure Harmy will vouch for that as well. And it just gives you that, right, this is my role for the day, and I know what I'm doing.
On the pull again, Litton Das is going to get lucky again. Tries to heave this away through the leg side. Top edge flies up over first slip and away for 4. 116 for 1. Bangladesh really motoring now.
And if you don't have that, then players get confused. They don't become confident in their role. And as we were saying earlier about franchise cricket and your role changing, that can be very confusing for a player. So it's about having a role and getting really good at it. You think Jordan, back end of the innings, that's his role, death bowling.
Archer again, short again, beautiful shot from Lytton Das, who seizes on the length. There's timing, there's power, and there's precision. That's the shot of the day from Lytton Das. He moves to 64 with a massive 6 over mid-wicket, and Bangladesh now 14 overs in, 122 for 1. Harmy, I can't think that you and Fred would have sat back and listened to too many statistical match-up meetings with you would have been playing darts, wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, we weren't as sort of match-up as what they are now, and the technology is there, but you know, the team meetings, sometimes there were good meetings, sometimes there weren't so good meetings. It's interesting that in white ball cricket there seems to be heavily on team meetings and match-ups, where test match team and Ben Stokes and Brendan McCullum, I don't even think that they get together the night before for a team meeting, where I think there's a completely different game now between the test match arena as in the white ball arena as well. So that's a big change in itself.
I think there's a balance to be had, isn't there, between, you know, filling players with too much information and not allowing them to think for themselves on a cricket pitch. Because sometimes the situation can change quickly.
On the reverse is Shanto. Rashid back into the attack. We hear more from Kath Dalton in an over's time when Andrew McKenna is back in the commentary seat. 27 now to Shanto. My, this is extraordinary batting from Bangladesh. First ball of Rashid's at fourth over, and a premeditated reverse sweep there from Shanto. He is in confident form, Steve Harmison.
That was a shot. Wow, that's timed. That was a brilliant shot. To only get one for that.
Tossed up by Rashid. Lytton Das goes aerial again. All wrists here. Beautiful shot. Almost like he's trying to play out of a bunker. Away over extra cover for 4. 127 for 1.
He's just beat that shot of the day you've just said 2 balls ago, John. That is a good shot. That is a good shot. Control over extra cover.
Rashid again. This is flatter, straighter, and played straighter by Lytton Das. He's motoring now, and they're forcing more mistakes. There was nearly overthrows there. Phil Salt with a wayward throw back. A dive by the wickets at the non-striker's end, but no damage done. Another 2 runs to the score, though. This is great stuff from Bangladesh, and England really being made to toil now. Steve Harmison.
They look rattled, don't they? They look rattled. They really do, the England team.
Crowd are on their backs. Jofra Archer's seen 2 straightforward chances go down in the outfielders. Rashid is in. This is a leg break. Cut away by Lytton Das, but straight to the fielder at backward point. There was another little fumble there again. Phil Salt, I think it was. No run though, 70 from 50. Jarrod Kimber, he wanted to see runs from Lytton Das, who scored more runs in one innings than he has all series. And I include the ODI stuff that preceded this one. Pushed to wide long off for another single. Lytton Das 71. Shanto 27. A big sneeze in the back of the commentary box from Andrew McKenna. Bless you.
I think it's Lytton Das' top score, is it, John?
It is, yeah.
I think it is. 69 was his best, I think it was.
Well spotted, that man. But it'll be Shanto to face the last ball of Adil Rashid's quota. Tossed up across the left-hander. As for a second, I thought that Shanto was going to try and loft him over long on, but in the end, pushes it up to the fielder there. Archer sees off Rashid, who's 4 overs have gone for 23. 1 wicket as well, that of Talukder, caught a ball for 24. England's only success in the innings so far. Bangladesh with Lytton Das lighting up the grounds at 71 from 51. Shanto 28, not out from 18. And after a word from Jarrod Kimber, it'll be the returning Andrew McKenna to talk you through the remainder of the innings.
So Lytton Das had a pretty poor beginning to the start of his Test career. He averaged 26 and really, didn't have much of an impact on Bangladesh's chances of winning. The last couple of years, he averaged over 50, and he also crossed 50 in half of it. So he's incredibly consistent in that time in how he made his runs. He made a really important score in a tricky game in Zimbabwe, but it was probably the runs in New Zealand that were the most important. He was sort of the backbone of how they beat New Zealand, other than their fast bowlers all coming together at once. But even that innings in Harare, it'd be easy to say, well, he made it against Zimbabwe, but they were 132 for 6 in that game and in all sorts of trouble when he came in and made his big score. He's just gone from basically a player who had no real impact on international cricket to one of the best players around. Unfortunately, in this series, he's gone through one of the worst form dips ever.
Sam Curran to start the 16th over. He's outside of the left-handed Shanto's off stump, chopped to points, and they will scramble a single. 132 for 1 here on TalkSport 2.
But remember, he also just got picked up in the IPL for Kolkata as well. Played 1 or 2 very good innings in the World Cup. He's just a completely different player than the player we saw 2 years ago. Just matured very late, but finally coming up to what he can do in international cricket.
8.8 and over Bangladesh are going at on a pitch that we think is hard to score off, and they've just managed to do it by playing good cricket. Sam Curran's going to go into Lytton Das, and Lytton Das gives himself some room to the leg side, tries to hit over extra cover, misses on this occasion, through to Jos Buttler, no run. The batting coach alongside me moves back in. We've just been marvelling off air about what Bangladesh are doing here. They've done it really, really well, Kath Dalton, haven't they?
Yeah, comfortably. Lytton Das has played a wonderful knock so far, hasn't he? He hasn't really taken too many risks, but he's got that freedom now. You've got 71 on your name. You can start to express yourself even more.
Curran comes in, left arm over, it's wide of off stump. Do you know what? If Lytton had been brave enough, I think he might have got a wide for that had he left it, but you can't really stand there. So in the end, he's ended up clothing it to point, and they will take a single. 133 for 1. 13 fours, 3 sixes in the innings so far. Lytton Das has hit 10 of those boundaries. Rashid got 3 before he was dismissed. So it's easier once you're in for a bit. Shanto's got 29 from 19. No fours to his name, but has got 2 sixes. Curran goes in, it's the back of the hand, slower ball, and Shanto has slapped that through point, and Duckett does well on this occasion, going away to his right-hand side on the cover boundary, and they take a couple. 135 for 1.
Yeah, and another slower ball into the surface by Sam Curran. That ball was 66 miles an hour, so because it was short, it allowed the batter time to sit back and try and pick his gap, but finally Ben Duckett's done a good bit of fielding.
Yeah, I'm gonna touch on that after this ball. 135 for 1 after 15 overs and 4 balls. Curran on his way, slow and low, full toss in towards the base of off stump. Hammered out to Chris Jordan at long on for a single. 136 for 1. I mean, we keep the TV company keeps replaying the drop catches, but actually, England have been sloppy in the outfield from ball 1. They've given away easy runs. They've not picked stuff up. And we were talking earlier before the game and after the second game about them potentially disrespecting this series a little bit. It feels like that attitude has now caught up with them today. They have been, sloppier today than I've seen them in the last, probably 2 years, all added together the previous games. Curran goes in, inside edge from Lytton Das onto his pad, dribbles about a foot at his feet. Sam Curran goes through and collects, and that is the end of the over. 16 gone here on TalkSport 2. 136 for 1. Sam Curran has now bowled 3 overs which have cost 24. It's been a hallmark of England's white ball cricket, be it Jos Buttler, be it Owen Morgan. They've done the basics really, really well. Nothing sloppy. Today, I'm afraid, they've been miles off it for me.
You wouldn't associate England with a poor fielding performance. That's not something that we've come to know, as you said, Macca, but today they have looked sloppy, they've looked rushed, they looked a bit flustered. There's been some awful throws from the outfield. Bangladesh have run very well between the wickets. They put the field under pressure. There's been a few drop catches that Jofra Archer wasn't very happy about earlier. So they have been sloppy, and when you are fielding as a unit and you aren't on it, it does change the atmosphere and dynamic, and in these conditions you have to be on it with the crowd on you as well. The crowd's filling up nicely to put more pressure on you. That's where you have to back your fielders, and they say fielding is selfless. It's the most selfless thing to do in cricket because everything else is one-on-one, isn't it? So when you're fielding, you've got to give it all for your team.
Right, Jordan's about to bowl his second over. His first cost him 9. Adil Rashid's the only one of the England bowlers to have bowled out so far. They have used 7. Rashid 1 for 23 from his 4. Curran's now bowled 3. Wokes has bowled 1 over, the second over of the innings that went for 12. Jofra has gone 3 overs, 0 for 29. Rayan Ahmed 3 overs, 0 for 26. Moeen's 1 over has cost 12. Chris Jordan 1 over cost 9. Something we were talking about the other day. Sometimes when you've got so many bowlers, do you kind of think, well, it's okay, we've got some backup if it doesn't go well, rather than if you know you've got to bowl your 4? Does it give a slightly different mentality? Jordan is going to come in and bowls to Shanto, who heaves him down to Jofra Archer at long on. 2 bounces, just a single taken. Shanto goes to 33 from 22. Bangladesh go 136 for 1.
Coming back to that point, I think any time you're playing for England, you're pulling on that international shirt, you want to give your best. You're not thinking there's another option out there. You're the one who wants to do it. It's almost, I want to be the person to win the man of the match award at the end. I'm the person who's going to stand up for my team. And Chris Jordan has done that a lot for England, and he's been a very successful death bowler. I think possibly just a little bit out of match practice this winter, so this will be a good opportunity for him to really mix it up, bowl some Yorkers. As we know, his Yorkers are very good, and his slower balls as well.
Bangladesh got the chance to put the highest score of the series on the board here. In goes Chris Jordan. It's outside of off stump. Litton Das guides it to points, and they will take a single that takes them to 138 for 1. In the first match down in Chattogram, England put 156 for 6 on the board from their 20 overs in the first innings. Bangladesh chased that down with 12 balls to spare, but at the moment with 138 for 1, 16 overs and 2 balls gone, Bangladesh should be easily thinking of going past that, and especially with 9 wickets standing as well. Jordan in for the third ball of the over, right arm over the wicket. Shanto has gone across his stumps to get down and play the ramp if he can, but Jordan goes across him. Shanto gets himself in a tangle, and it actually bounces through for a second time as it gets to Jos Buttler. No wide given, because the batter was moving all over the place, and therefore the bowler is allowed to adjust his line cap.
Yeah, another good off-cutter by Chris Jordan there, and the previous ball was an 88-mile-an-hour Yorker, so it looks like his speed's up a little bit more today.
Shanto waits, and it's in towards his toes once again. You can tell by the sound that it comes off the bat, hits really low down. It goes to the edge of the 30-metre circle where Jofra Archer has come sprinting off of the boundary at long on. It's a single and no more than that.
Yeah, again, fantastic Yorker. This is what he's known for, Chris Jordan. When he's bowling his best, another 88-mile-an-hour delivery. When he's bowling pace, his pace is up. He's hitting his Yorkers. He is so difficult to get away because they premeditated to scoop him on, I think, the 4th ball of that over because he was going for Yorkers, but then he mixed it up with an off-cutter. Very clever bowling so far.
Litton Das has his highest score in T20 international cricket, beating the 69 that he previously got, his 9th T20 international 50. He's 73 not out from 55. Jordan goes in. That's another fabulous delivery, landing on the crease line. And Litton is just trying to squeeze that out because, frankly, there's not much else you can do. And Kath has just called it again about Jordan's pace. That was 88, almost 89 miles an hour Yorker. Almost unhittable.
Yeah, that's Jofra Archer pace, isn't it? Almost. High 80s. Bowling that Yorker length, you have nowhere to go as a batter with that delivery. This is just wonderful death bowling. If you ever wanted to learn how to bowl at the death, just watch this over. It's been fantastic so far.
Well, maybe he felt there was a bit to prove, because there's been a few questions on Chris Jordan. Was he just losing his magic a little bit? Well, because they've been going on the Yorkers, fine leg is going back from inside the circle down onto the boundary. So there are 4 out on the leg side. It's a slower ball. Chris Jordan has bowled in. Litton hammers it out straight to the mid-wicket fielder, Phil Salt, who takes the catch. Well, England set the trap so obviously about putting the 4 men out on the boundary, and then Jordan bangs it in the middle of the pitch, and Litton Das just slaps it straight to Phil Salt. Took 3 or 4 small readjusting steps to his right-hand side, takes a comfortable catch, And Litton Das goes for a very, very well made 73 from 57. It's 139 for 2, but Litton Das will be disappointed in one sense, because it feels like he maybe should have gone on and made a bit more. 139 for 2 after 17 here on TalkSport 2.
Take nothing away from that Litton Das innings. He batted marvellously well. He started off a little bit scratchy, and towards the back end of that innings he was batting beautifully, just picking off the bad ball. But that was a really good over by Chris Jordan. That's the type of over that wins you games of cricket. Lots of Yorkers, lots of slower balls, and then decides to put the fine leg out on the boundary. Dropped it short again, but with no speed on it, so Litton Das couldn't get hold of it and gets caught in the deep. I just think that's very clever bowling by Jordan. If he's going to bowl like that again, Bangladesh probably won't get up to the total that they're expecting.
Shakib Al Hassan strides out to the middle, the captain, with all that experience. 112th T20 international today. Just shy of 24 as an average. And the left-hander is on strike, but he's watching for the non-strikers end as Shanto gets the first ball of the new over from Archer, and he heaves it out to the mid-wicket sweeper for just a single. 140 for 2. Shanto now 35 from 25. Now, does he pick up the mantle and carry on, or does Shakib say, I'm the experienced man, I'll see this one through, lad?
Look, we know Shakib isn't known for his power hitting, his explosive power hitting. He's a situational player. Shanto, I think, will have to now take the game on. He'll have to go for it, probably take a few more risks. He hasn't taken any risks so far, and he's 35 off 25. But this is the time to go now, isn't it?
He's facing Jofra Archer. Archer is in. It's quick. It's outside of off stump. Outside half of Shakib's bat flies down to Adil Rashid on the third boundary. One bounce safely negotiated, and it is just a single to get Shakib up and running. 141 for 2.
Rashid's fielding here was fantastic. He really got himself into a bit of a spin, didn't he? Trying to throw that back into the keeper's end.
Yeah, that pocket down there is not the longest. I remember a six being hit the other day that was 65 metres, and it was 10 metres over the boundary. So it's only about a 55 metre carry down there. And that was, with Archer's pace, it gets down to you in a hurry. Right, Shanto is on strike. Archer over the wicket. He bowls a slower ball into the ribcage of the batter, Shanto. They take a leg by. Archer charging through, kicks the ball at the stumps and misses. And that's going to be one of those that we can't wait to see the side-on replay. It was a back-of-the-hand slower ball first up that gripped in the surface. Shanto was through the shot so early, it clattered into his ribcage. Archer kicks the ball at the stumps, misses by miles. And the question is, how close was it to a potential run-out?
Archer isn't a Tottenham fan by any chance, is he?
Yes. Insert name of football club here for those of you wanting to dig out somebody. That's a brilliant delivery, by the way, from Jofra Archer, though. Back of the hand.
To be fair, I'm a Tottenham fan. I'm just honest. That's what it is.
142 for 2. Archer building up ahead of steam, but he's bowling to Shakib, who gets a chop down to third. A single to Adil Rashid. Shakib's given himself plenty of room to the leg side. He's been there 2 balls and he's already calling for new gloves. I mean, I know it's warm, but come on, lad.
I think when you're Shakib Al Hassan, you can do anything, can't you?
Obviously got, the sponsors wanting a bit more exposure. So.
Yeah. Give us a little wave after 2 balls, Shakib, will you?
2 balls left of the 18th then. Archer 0 for 32. Finished up with 3 for 13 from his 4 the other day. And 1 for 27 from 3 in the first. So that's significant in itself. Jofra Archer's played 3 in a row. Archer goes in, it's quick, it's outside of off stump, swung on by Shanto and missed through to the keeper, Joss Butler, and there's no run. We were told that England were, shall we say, reluctant to ask him to go back to back because of the stresses and strains on his body. They're trying to increase the workload, but he's gone for all 3.
Yeah, that's a good sign, isn't it? It shows that his body's probably recovered enough for him to want to play this game. He's in good rhythm. He's bowling backhand slower balls, cutters, great pace as well. I think it was in the second ODI, he wasn't really bowling too quickly. It's good to see his pace back up there.
Final ball then, Archer over the wicket, outside of off stump. Shanto slaps it out to Duckett, who's sweeping on the cover boundary, and that is the over complete. That is 18 gone, 144 for 2. Jofra Archer 0 for 33 from his 4. It is TalkSport 2 exclusive T20 international cricket. Bangladesh against England on your DAB digital radio, via the TalkSport app, or online, or your smart speaker. And of course, you'll be able to hear the Cheltenham Festival coming up this afternoon. All 6 races are live across the TalkSport network, as is exclusive football action this evening in the Championship. Middlesbrough hosting Stoke. The boys will be on air at 6 o'clock to bring you all of the build-up. And if that isn't enough cricket for you today, I was bringing you this T20 International. Don't forget, the Cricket Collective is here this evening. Neil Manthorpe and Harmy rounding up all of the biggest stories from the world of cricket. Right, Jordan to continue with his 3rd over. 1 for 12 so far. Joss Buttler needs Jofra Archer to move, and they're bringing Salt is going all the way from the cover sweeper to mid-on, and they want Jofra Archer to move. So essentially what they're trying to do is get their best catchers in the places that they think the ball is going to go. Everyone is now finally in the right place. 144 for 2 from 18. Shanto, 36 not out from 28 balls. Chris Jordan is still setting this field. He wants it right to the millimetre before he's going to deliver. Now he is on the way. Over the wicket to the left-handed Shanto. It's 2 leg side-ish, clipped away through long leg, and it's away for 4. Well, you can take as long as you like to set the field. I'm afraid to say if you bowl it there, it's going to disappear away. It goes for 4, Bangladesh 148 for 2.
Yeah, and fine leg in the ring. That's just a leg stump half volley. That's an absolute give me by Chris Jordan, who praising him last over for his mix-ups and his accuracy on his Yorkers. He's gone for a Yorker there, but he's got that horribly wrong.
It happens.
It does. We all bowl them.
Shanto 40 from 29. Bangladesh approaching 150, 148 for 2. Jordan in, bowls right arm over, hits Shanto on the pad. England, big appeal, give an LBW. Now, there are 2 reviews, and with Shanto being a set batsman, he's gone straight down to have a chat with Shakib about whether they should review this one. Potentially, you might be talking about where does it pitch? Does it pitch outside of leg stump? And then, is it going to go on and hit? They have reviewed it, because as I say, it's the set batter, so you might as well. We're now seeing the first replay. That's pitched outside leg pole for me, Kath, because I can see leg stump between his legs, and the ball is wider than that.
Yeah, and it's also worth a review. Shanto's in good form, so he's the one that you want in at the back end of this innings. I agree with you, Maka. That looks like it's pitched outside leg.
Well, we're going through the process of looking whether he hit it first. There is no edge on that. It hits the back leg, but it's pitched a decent chunk outside of leg, so it will be overturned. Umpire makes the mea culpa sign.
I think he gave that out just for the shot. Terrible shot. It's got to be out.
Just for the giggles. Right, Shanto, 40 from 30. Crowd is getting back into it. They're happy that Shanto's still there. He taps his bat a couple of times, now raises it. Jordan goes in, it's outside of off stump, hammered out to the cover sweeper. Jofra Archer, who's only just been put out there at the start of the over. Well, they've taken a 2, and they get back. Joss Buttler got pulled away from the stump slightly by the throw, took one glove off, ready as if he could throw at the non-striker's end, but wasn't able to. So it is 2 more to the total, and the Bangladesh 150 is up. 150 for 2. 18 overs and 3 balls.
Yeah, and fabulous running again, wasn't it? Put Jofra Archer under pressure to get that ball back in with accuracy, and he didn't. So Bangladesh are really ticking between the wickets here.
It's just good basic cricket. Jordan, cutter into Shanto that bounced up. Shanto swings it out to the leg side boundary. They come back for a second. Just Butler takes the bails. Again, we're going to go upstairs. This one, I think Shanto will be safe. It's relatively close. It's not one of those, but just Butler's body language is not a man who thinks, yep, we've just got to set batsman out.
That just shouldn't be a 2, should it?
And it comes in, and again the throw has just taken Butler a little bit away, so the stumps are to his right. He's had to go away to his left, catch it, and then travel what's probably a good metre back to the stumps, and by that point Shanto gets home and not out, thanks to Mr. White powder detergent is shown on the big screen. And again Shanto is still there, 44 not out from 32 balls.
Again, good running, but again, another example, poor fielding from England. That throw should have been at Josh Butler, and that should have been a run out. I don't think they should have taken 2 there.
8 from the overs so far from 4 balls. Jordan goes in, bowls what it turns into a slow, loopy full toss that ends up quite low down from Shanto, hammers it to the edge of the circle where Moeen Ali will field, and they take a single, 153 for 2. And as she gets to the non-strikers end, Shanto, you might have just heard the of disappointment because he only got 1 from that.
Yeah, you would hope to capitalise on that as a batter. It's a low full toss that should be hitting the boundary, but this over by Jordan has not been anywhere near as consistently good as his last over. His last over was phenomenal at the back end of this innings. This over, he's just lost his line, not been quite clear on his plans going forward.
His final ball, right arm over, goes in, goes to Shakib Al Hassan, who goes all the way across his stumps trying to flick it over short fine leg and gets in a bit of a tangle. They take 1, it's actually a leg by, but that really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. It's 1 more to the total, that's the all important thing. So 154 for 2 with 6 balls of the innings to go. Chris Jordan has finished his bowling stint. 3 overs have cost 1 for 21. So Bangladesh 154 for 2. A good over will get them well over 160. They should be round about 160, 162 you would imagine, which is going to be handy on this surface.
It is going to be handy, but you do feel that there's some runs that have been left out there. They're only 2 down, Bangladesh, so they haven't taken huge amount of risks. It's something that we actually complimented them on in the middle overs when they were batting really nicely, not taking too many risks. But the last couple of overs, we haven't really seen any attempts at big hitting. So maybe a few runs left out there. When you've got wickets in the shed, you've got people to come in, you should have that element of freedom to go for it a bit more than they have.
Do you think because it is such a relatively tricky surface that they've just decided the guys who are out there have got to see it through? It will, by definition, be harder for new batters to come in. I mean, you know, wickets, .6, you know, I mean, I don't know.
I suppose it depends on your mentality, doesn't it? Are you looking at it from a positive perspective where you're going to go for the runs? Or do you just think we'll sit in and let the 2 in do it?
Sam Curran's going to get the final over. He's into the toes of Shakib Al Hassan. Turned along the floor out to the mid-wicket sweeper Salt. Single taken, 155 for 2. Shanto will be on strike with 45. Shakib's got 3 from 4.
Considering England have bowled a lot of Yorkers, which has been really good to see, at the back end of this innings, I'm surprised with third and fine up in the ring that they haven't looked to scoop a little bit more, knowing that they're going to go full. That little bit of inventiveness by Shanto would be helpful here.
3 out on the leg side, but Shanto is staying leg side of the ball from Curran on this occasion. Hits to duck it at point. They've taken 1, and Shanto gets sent back by Shakib. He got a third of the way down the pitch, then he heard no, no, no. And to be fair, they barely would have crossed. I mean, I know Shanto wants to be on strike because he's got quite a few to his name so far, but you've got to be sensible about the whole thing. That was 1 all the way.
He's just sent him back, hasn't he? Off you go. No way am I running 2 there, as Shakib saying.
I am the captain, remember. Right, so Shakib Al Hassan, left-handed Curran, slower ball bumper, swung on and missed by Shakib. And Shanto is walking back to his crease at the non-striker's end, looking over his shoulder as if to say, I would have hit that. Now he's going to have a wander down and have a chat with his mate. Are they talking about running 1 through to the keeper? if we're not able to get bat on, we've got to get something. We're in the 20th over of a T20. We can't have deliveries that don't end up with a score next to them.
Yeah, Shakib is just eating up deliveries here, isn't he? He's 3 or 5 deliveries so far. It looks like he's just struggling. So that's why Shanto was trying to get back for that second, I think. He was running hard to get back on strike.
Well, there was a bit of a conversation, I think, about whether there was that was a wide on height. Now, I think it's been reviewed. I think they've actually reviewed whether there's an edge on this, because, and we're going to now see it with ultra edge. The ball passes the bat. Does it flick the glove on the way through? No. I don't quite understand why you'd review that. Somebody must have thought they heard something. That is up there with some of the most pointless reviews in cricket we've seen. I mean, India still head the way. The last couple of test matches, they've reviewed some absolute shockers.
Can you imagine what the umpire's thinking?
Well, I imagine there's an element of panic, thinking, what have I missed? That would be my reaction if someone suddenly is reviewing something and is therefore by definition saying you've made a mistake. I'd be thinking, what have I missed there? And
then a wry smile as it's absolutely nothing.
Right, 3 balls gone, 2 singles. Sam Curran can come in and bowl the 4th into Shakib Al Hasan, who's aiming sort of towards straight mid-wicket, gets an inside edge down to Rayan Ahmed at fine leg, and they'll take 1. So 157 for 2, 2 balls to go. Worth noting that if they are running through to the keeper, Joss Buttler has taken 1 glove off already. So the right glove is actually tucked into the back of his trousers, ready so he can throw the ball at either set of stumps if they are coming regardless. Shanto is on strike. I'll be honest, I think with 2 balls to go, he's just staying at that end and they're just going to be swinging merrily. He's 46 not out from 34. He goes across his stumps and tries to play the flick that Kath Dalton has just been talking about, but doesn't catch up with it. It bounces over the stumps and goes through to the keeper. No run. 5 deliveries, 3 singles in this final over. Could this be a significant over from a Sam Curran and England point of view? 157 for 2. We were talking about it being 162, 163, 164. Bangladesh may not get there, and that will feel like a missed opportunity.
Oh, a huge missed opportunity. I mean, Sam Curran's bowled this over very well. Brought 3rd and fine up into the ring and said, all right, Shanto, if you're going to score, you're going to have to scoop me, and it doesn't look like it's his favourite shot.
Final ball of the innings then. Shanto needs a boundary to get to 50. Bangladesh need as many as possible. Sam Curran in, bowled, full and in at the base of off stump. Shanto gets an inside edge through square leg, and they will take just 1. Archer will come off the boundary and do the fielding. And Bangladesh have put 158 on the board. 158 for 2 from 20. Shanto will finish 47 not out from 36 balls faced. Shakib Al Hasan, the non-striker's end, finishes with 4 from 6. So, just under 8 and over from an England point of view. Not the easiest of pitches, it has to be said. But England won the toss and bowled, so Bangladesh got first use of it. Ronit Talakdar, first man out, 24 from 22, halfway through the 8th over. That was 58 for 1. The second wicket didn't fall till the end of the 17th overs. 134 for 2 when Lytton Das was finally caught by Phil Salt on the boundary off the bowling of Chris Jordan. 73 from 57 balls. Najm Al Hussain finishes 47 not out from 36 balls. Shakib Al Hasan 4 from 6. The bowling figures: Sam Curran 4 overs 0 for 28. Chris Woakes just 1 over that cost 12. Adil Rashid 1 for 23 from 4. Jofra Archer 0 for 33 from 4. Rayan Ahmed 3 overs 0 for 26. 1 over of Moeen Ali went for 12. 3 overs of Chris Jordan 1 for 21. So 158 for 2. 159 the target. Kath Dalton, former Ireland international, alongside me. So sum up that innings from Bangladesh's point of view and then from England's then, Kath?
I think Bangladesh will be a little bit disappointed that they didn't get more runs on the board. As soon as Litton Das got out after that wonderful knock, the run rate seemed to slow down quite a lot. Shakib Al-Hassan absorbing really 6 deliveries there at the back end of an innings where you need somebody to be going and hitting the boundary as much as possible. Shanto never really got going. I know he played really nicely, played without any kind of risk early on in his innings and built a really good score, but couldn't really hit the accelerator when he wanted to. From an England perspective, they would have been disappointed with how they started, a few drop catches early on. Against Jofra Archer, he would have been very frustrated with those because he would have wanted to take a few more wickets, but they did claw it back, and that last over by Sam Curran, just going for 4 runs, really summed up the back end of that innings. So a score that could have been bigger, but isn't a bad total on this wicket by Bangladesh.
Yeah, just looking at the breakdown, 46 in the opening 6-over power play, then between 6 and 10, 31 for 1, between 10 and 15, 54 without loss, the final 5 overs, 27 for 1. So at 15 overs, 131 for 1, ended at 158 for 2. Not a frustrating end for Bangladesh. Good work from an England point of view. So 159 for victory.
First ball of the run chase. It's a full toss, and 4 runs have been scored by David Malan, clipping this full toss off his pads, straightish through mid-wicket for 4. Poor ball from Tanvir. One of 2 changes for Bangladesh. I was thinking Pakistan because Kath Dalton's just joined me in the commentary box, fresh from a coaching stint out there.
No one says Pakistan like Kath Dalton.
Can we clip that audio? That could be your intro phrase whenever you're on duty. Well, we need your mic up, I think. First off, I don't think that's you though. That's just outside off stump. Milan is forward and plays this to mid-on for a single. England at 5 without loss. David Malan has scored all of them. Phil Salt about to face his first delivery. Target of 159. Kath, you're back in the room.
I'm back in the room, and I'm wondering what this impression of me is.
You know, I think of Pakistan cricket. I think of Imran Khan, Wasim Akram, Rashid Afridi, Kath Dalton. In that order. Then Misbah,
Javed Miandad,
Inzi,
oh, you got
Fazal Mahmood.
Javed?
I probably would have Javed higher.
Yeah. Hi, Javed.
I haven't even said, have I said Afridi yet?
This is a bit like when I was the 41st most powerful person in cricket, two above Jimmy Anderson.
I forgot that you were the 41st most powerful man in cricket. I should have made you a T-shirt. I think I was on that panel.
I think you were
I think I laughed when your
you were a
name
large
came up.
reason why I was listed at 41.
No, that's why you were so low.
Tanvir is in again, beaten and stumped. I think Phil Salt groping forward, big turning delivery away from the right-hander, and just for a fraction of a second his back foot was above the ground. It was aerial, and what smart work behind the stumps. This could be out, you know. Certainly the reaction of the fielders suggests it's very, very close. England could be about to lose their first wicket. Kath Dalton.
Yeah, that looked out, didn't it? It was a very fast take behind the stumps. Again, Phil Salt is looking to make room. He does that a lot, planting his foot down the leg side. Great take. That looks out to me, John.
Yeah, I think that is absolutely out, because not only did he come forward, his foot, as he tried to get it back behind the ground, was in the air, and by the time it was put back behind the crease, Litton Das, who really lit up this ground with a fine knock of 73, had taken 2 stumps out the ground. So Phil Salt is going to have to go first ball.
Yeah, wonderful stumping, wasn't it? He's having a good game, Litton Das. But again, Phil Salt.
There you go, the crowd will tell you. That is out. Phil Salt's got to make his way. The end of his series comes to an end. England lose their first wicket, 5 for 1.
I think Phil Salt will be massively disappointed, not only in this game, but the last game. He got himself in, and he's always finding a way to get out against spin. So good tactic by Bangladesh, and a wicket that just puts that England batting side under pressure from the get-go.
Well, just 2 wickets fell in the 20 overs that Bangladesh batted out. A good partnership for the first wicket came to an end. Talukder caught a bowl by Rashid for 24. England then had to wait until the score's 139 before Lytton Das, the man who's just completed that fine bit of work behind the stumps, he holed out for 73. 2 drops in the outfield. Archer should have taken claimed 2 wickets. He went wicketless in the end, but this is not what England needed. A wicket in the first over and Jos Buttler walking to the crease. Wow, what a start to the innings. And as you say, Kath Dalton, this not quite brittle, but certainly under par batting lineup has been put under big pressure, and is a success for one of 2 changes for Bangladesh. Tanveer Islam with the early breakthrough. Full toss first ball, and a beautiful bit of bowling to deceive Phil Salt, get rid of the opening batter, third ball. All action in this third T20 here on Talk Sport 2. Get in touch with us at cricket_TS as Tanveer, the slow left armer, is in, and this is flatter on the pads of Buttler, who gets off the mark first ball.
And you feel for England, from an English perspective, that Buttler is going to have to be the one that gets a big score today. Their middle order hasn't fired in this series, and that's why they've lost more games, well, lost both games in this series so far. So losing that early wicket of Salt, you know, it's not going to be easy, but Butler's going to be the key here, I think.
Looking back at that dismissal, it was slightly strange, wasn't it, with Salt coming forward, trying to push into the outfield, offside, but as Milan readies himself, this ball turns in. It's a slow left arm, so that will be the natural variation into Milan, who gets off strike with a single to the leg side. The bowler feels from his own bowling, but looking at the replay of that dismissal, there was no turn at all, actually. It was wide outside off stump, and it was almost like Phil Salt was coming down to a wrong length delivery, which maybe just went on a touch faster than the batter expected.
That's where he looks to hit, though, isn't it, John? He looks to hit over the offside, Phil Salt, more often than not, so he's probably going for his strength and just misjudged it.
Long off and deep square leg as Buttler defends the final ball of the first over. England set 159 to win this third T20 of this series against Bangladesh, and they've lost an early wicket. Phil Salt to dismiss, stump Lytton Das. First ball. Buttler and Milan now at the crease.
You just feel that Bangladesh are up for this game. They look like it in the field. They're bowling, you know, they've taken an early wicket. They just seem to have a different presence to the England side when they came out to field in their first over. They want to take this series, they want to take it 3-0, and they want to be convincing against the world champions, and there's nothing better than that as I suppose the underdog, the side that probably weren't going to win this game. You wouldn't have thought that they'd win the series, so Bangladesh look really up for this.
Yeah, and I think it says a lot as well that it was not the debutant, but the new guy who was brought in, and he was given the first over. You know, that game, you're seeing very clear statements of intent from the coaching that's been passed down to these players. And again, it's a guy that's, as Taskin Ahmed's first ball is down the leg side. Huge cheer from the crowd, despite the fact that David Milan didn't get bat on ball and the keeper dropped it, and it's going to be signalled wide. But essentially, what we're seeing from Bangladesh is they're taking players who've been in good form in the Bangladeshi Premier League. Tanveer Islam is one of those. 17 wickets in 12 T20s for Bangladesh, but highest wicket taker in the BPL. They're in form, they're confident, and they're coming into a winning side. We've seen this from England, it works. And especially in home conditions with the crowd behind you. David Milan sets himself. This is a full swinging Yorker, and David Milan has been given out leg before wicket, deep in his crease. Certainly no indication that there's bat on ball, just a question of whether the ball, which swung from Taskin Ahmed, has done too much. If it hasn't, England have lost their second wicket in the second over. They're 8 for 2.
And doesn't that just show you the fight they've got? They're looking to take early wickets. Taskin Ahmed, they're just shaping it back into Milan. The first ball got it slightly wrong. Second one, he's trapped him on the pad. It just looks awkward, David Milan, in this position.
Well, we're seeing a replay. This did swing, didn't it? Now, was there... I tell you what, that was closer to the bat than I actually thought at first sight.
I think he might have hit this.
Well, it's fascinating if he did, because it was Josh Butler that told him to review. The batter doesn't think he's hit it. He has. I think he has hit this. We'll find out very shortly. But certainly Milan went and had a chat with his skipper. His skipper said, yeah, it could have gone down leg side. That seemed to be the indication from Josh Butler. We're watching a review. We haven't seen Ultra Edge. We are about to. Both batters looking up at the big screen within the ground, and it does appear like the fielding team are going back to their marks. Maybe they also think that there's bat on ball.
I think he's hit this. That's why they've all just walked back to their marks. The excitement has gone.
Let's see. Up to Ultra Edge. I think there is a spike, but I think it's when the ball is hitting the pad. But then the crowd aren't reacting. Now, we sometimes see this in cricket, and it doesn't often happen with a leg before decision. You sometimes see a fielding team go up for a caught behind, a thin outside edge. It goes up to the big screen, and the Ultra Edge has a spike, and it's one frame after the ball has passed the bat. And very often that is seen as indication that there has been contact between bat and ball. What we have here is a similar situation, but of course by the time the edge goes up, the ball is hitting the pads, or it appears to be. So I'm not sure what the third umpire is going to do here. What's your reading, Kath Dalton?
Well, just from the deviation of the ball, it does look like he's hit it, and then it's gone onto his pad. But you're right, John, it's a strange angle, because it looks like it's hitting his pad while the spike is up. So I wouldn't want to be the third umpire in this situation.
Silence from the crowd, which suggests they're not 100% sure either. But this is going to be fascinating. We don't have the umpire mics in our ears, so we can't hear the deliberations. But essentially, it has been given out on field. Is there enough evidence to overturn that decision? If you just to use your eyesight, it does look like there's a deviation from the inside edge. We've got a little bit.
Yeah, I'm satisfied that the ball has hit the bat first. I'm going back to Tanvir on field.
There we go.
Tanvir, the batter has hit the ball with his bat first. I would recommend you to change the decision from out to not out. You're on screen, you can signal now.
Well, there we go. It has been overturned, and certainly the reaction of the Bangladeshi players is that they were almost expecting that, because Tuscan Ahmed was at the top of his run-up. But I don't know, that was a bit of a strange one, to be honest with you. Jerry Kimber, what was your take on that?
No, I think you called it perfectly. I think the edge is definitely from the bat, because when the ball hits the pad, there's already a mark up. So unless there was a phantom noise between the bat, and it's like 2 frames, so I don't think there is. So I think you called that one perfect.
Okay, so a reprieve, if you can call it that, as David Milan just pushes us out into the offside. No run. 6 from 4, Butler 1 from 2. It's been an all-action start to this second innings.
Just one thing I wanted to add on that too is, don't forget, they're going on the Ultra Edge, but they're also going on the fact that it looks like he smashed the ball into his pad. So that's not 100%, but the umpire would have looked at that and said, that looks like he's hit it. If he didn't look like he hit it, then they change it. So, there's a little bit of, for cricket anyway, there's a little bit of common sense involved.
Blimey.
Yeah, I don't say that very often.
No, especially when it's overturning an on-field call as well, I suppose. That would just have been an added little element to...
Yeah, if it didn't look close to the bat, I think that might have been given not out, is my guess.
First slip has been taken out, put into a catching position at mid-wicket. Taskin Ahmed, 1 run from his 2 deliveries. Target 159 with David Milan and Josh Butler at the crease. Ahmed is in, full again, and this is off the pads of David Milan. Beats a diving leg gully and away to the boundary for 4 leg byes. So again, he's searching for that movement, isn't he, Taskin Ahmed? And just like the first delivery of the over, it didn't quite come off.
Just got a bit greedy, didn't he, with his line there and the swing. I think he is targeting Milan to shape it back in onto his pad. He's looking for that LBW, but just straight on his line there, and Milan just a little bit of a pad and off for 4.
12 for 1 then, England. 9 deliveries of the innings are underway. Milan readies himself, a play and a miss. This slants across the left-hander. Milan, we've seen this mode of dismissal from Milan in the past. He can be very strong through the offside, but every now and again that lack of foot movement does cost him. No run though, no damage, and it's incredibly important from an English perspective that these two stick around.
It is, and a good bit bowling there by Taskin Army. He's gone 3 into Milan's pads, shaping it back in, and has pushed that one across him, and it's good bowling. He's making him think. He's mixing it up with the swing, and that was a wobble seam delivery that's just gone across Milan. So
yeah, 2 balls after taking that first slip out as well. So possibly just the double bluff there. Milan ready and plays this on his toes, defensively so, straight to backward point. No run.
He always looks up for the fight, Taskin, doesn't he? He's one of those bowlers that you know you're going to throw the ball to him and he's going to give 100% every time he bowls. He's just got that kind of presence about him as a fast bowler.
Well, he's got that physical presence as well, isn't he? And that's one of the things that the coach of Bangladesh was picking out at the start of the series. You know, they're not a power side. Physicality isn't their friend. But Taskin Ahmed does have that broad shoulders, you know, big man. And he brings some of that to the bowling as this length delivery straight on the pads of David Milan is clipped away for a single, and that's the end of the over here on TalkSport 2. 13 for 1 England, chasing 159. Butler and Milan at the crease. Phil Salt dismissed first ball that he faced, third ball of the innings, stumped for a duck. It'll just be a question about who bowls this third over. Will Tanvir Islam get another? Is he with the breakthrough and his return to the side?
Just coming back to the Taskin Ahmed point, it was interesting about his career is he did get caught for throwing. I can't remember when it was. It was a good few years ago now, and he's had to remodel his action and work really hard on making sure that his action, you know, is legal, but also is in a strong place. So you can just see he loves his cricket, and all that work is he gets his reward for it.
It will be a second over for Tanvir Islam as he's in the slow left armour over the wicket. This is dragged down a touch. Milan takes another single. Have you ever worked with anybody who's had to remodel their action?
Yeah, I've worked with a lot of players who've had to remodel their action for various reasons, injury or you know, in the same as Taskin's case, because they are throwing it and they have an illegal action, and it's just about repetition. And people talk about a natural bowling action. Natural is just something you repeat and do all the time. So the more you repeat something, the more natural it feels.
Tanvir is in to the right-handed Joss Butler, coming round the wicket, and again just firing this in, angled in.
I've got a good one for you, John.
Go on.
When I worked with the cricket team quite early on, I said, what are we going to do when this bowler gets called for chucking? And the room and, you know, the leadership group just went dead, and they went, what are you saying? And I said, well, I think there's a problem with his action. I'm not sure we'll get through this entire tournament with this bowler. What's our plan B if he gets called for chuck? And they wouldn't even allow it as a conversation. And of course, 2 games later, it happened.
Tanvir is in, and David Milan has helped this up and over, deep square leg, minimum of fuss for 6. 21 for 1 now, England, and the first shot of anger from David Milan. Good shot as well.
Probably just got the line wrong there. Just maybe a little bit too straight. David Milan came across, just helped it on its way. Good shot. But yeah, so having those conversations is really tricky beforehand, let alone afterwards when you're talking to the bowlers about having to do it. And then suddenly you have to deal with the emotional side of it. It's a bit like man-catting. Realistically, it's just a run out, and in chucking, it's just a no ball, but we don't think about those things this way.
This time David Milan plays back, a little bit more air and touch more width, but pushed up to mid-off. I suppose as well, if you're, say you're, I can think of another player actually, but who still plays for the same county. There was questions over it, but there's much more of a vested interest in a county setup, sorting this out before it becomes a problem, as Milan targets mid with another single. He moves to 15 and scored 22 for 1.
You're much better off to get them tested yourself.
Exactly. And also if you've got a guy or a girl on a 3-year deal, or they're part of they've come through the setup, then you want to get it sorted. You care more, I suppose.
You don't want to turn up to a major tournament with the fact that it might happen to you. And I think that's the whole Sunil Narayan's career. That was a big part of his career where he missed out on earnings.
Butler is just attempting to get forward, but it's a full delivery on the pads, clipped away. Comfortable single to end over number 3 for Bangladesh. And England have moved along 23 for 1. The target 159 to win this third T20. Jared Kimber.
But the stigma is the problem. Whereas actually what it should be is that occasionally, and look, you and I know a lot of fast bowlers, we've had these conversations a lot. Every fast bowler will tell you they occasionally chuck. Right? When 3 beers in, they will all admit that occasionally something goes wrong and their action doesn't come out straight. And yet, some bowlers are seen as chuckers and some bowlers are not seen as chuckers. Whereas actually what we should be saying is, well, this bowler is occasionally bowling an illegal delivery, or they're bowling deliveries that are consistently illegal and it should have been found early on. There are remedial work that you can do. And the biggest problem is we don't test in game. So there's a Pakistani company that were working out if you can just put sensors on one part of the arm and the other part of the arm, and the ICC looked at investing in that but hasn't gone anywhere. But that's eventually what we have to do. Then we can just call them the same that we call overstepping, and people can work out when they're doing it, and they don't have to wait till Syed Ajmal gets to his level.
Taskin Ahmed for his second over. This is a back of a length delivery which sees Josh Butler riding the bounce and taking a couple of runs to the leg side. He moves to 5 to score 25 for 1. Since the retirement of Murali and Warren, is there an upturn, or was there a notable upturn in the amount of bowlers that were being called as opposed to before?
There was a 3-month period from I think it was September 2014 to November or December 2014 when almost every off spinner in the world was called. I think Graham Swan was like one of 3 that weren't.
Ahmed again pitches this up. Butler takes the bait and just drives this up and over the mid-off, straightish for a 1.
Yeah,
bounce 4.
You also think it's coach education. You know, are these players being identified at a young age, and do coaches understand what classifies as a throw and what doesn't?
Well, on top of that, I would also then argue, Kath, that what happens in some situations is that some bowlers are just discarded because they're seen as chuckers rather than actually being tested correctly anyway. So we don't even know who is and who isn't doing it.
Well, once you've identified them, you have to help them. You can't just say you're a chucker and then run off as a coach.
Taskin, this is wider and flashed at by Josh Butler, who can't beat to extra cover. No run, 29 for 1.
There's a guy called Troy Corbett who played for Victoria in 1994. I think in 15 List A games he's got a bowling average of 11. Never bowled again after there was newspaper articles about his action. And you think, if he was good enough to average 11 over 15 games, even if he could straighten his arm action out a little bit, he's only averaging 25 after that. So players had been thrown out before. So I do think that, Kath's way of thinking about it is a much more modern way of thinking about it. But I want to get back to Syed Ajmal for a moment.
Right arm over the wicket and clipped into the leg side for a single. 30 for 1 England.
So Syed Ajmal, I interviewed him when he made his comeback after he'd gone through the testing, and I think he got up to like 35 or 40 degrees. Like his arm was he was basically coming in and pinging it. And what he said to me was, if I'd been told I got to 16 degrees and 17 degrees, I would have worked with that and I would have done it. He said, one moment I was under 15 degrees as far as I knew, the next I was at 40. How do I go from that? There's no way back. And I think Shane Shillingford, the West Indian, had a similar conversation when he was just like, if you told me the last 5 years that it was getting worse every year, I would have stopped and changed it, because it ruined their careers. Syed Ajmal should still be bowling now.
Milan facing up and attempting to pull. We saw this in Bangladesh's innings, an attempted pull from a batter, and a leading edge has just flown up over first slip and away for 4.
Yeah, how many times have we seen that in this series, where cross-bat shots have not gone where the batter has intended? It was a slower ball into the surface by Taskin, and a mistimed shot by David Milan. Sometimes you need that little bit of luck, though. A little edge over the keeper for 4 can help.
Going back to the topic, though, because it is an interesting one. Where does the responsibility lie? Is it with the team? Is it with the coaching? Or is it with the player? I suppose It's a mixture of all. Fuller from Tuscan and drilled straight to extra cover. So no run to end over number 4. England recovering from the early dismissal of Phil Salt in the first over. 5 for 1. They've moved to 34 for 1. 2 overs have gone from Tuscan, 2 for Tanvir Islam. Might see a change of the bowling here. Darvin Milan 19 from 15, Josh Butler 9 from 8. But essentially, you know, Saeed Ajmal and Shane Shillingford, yes, I suppose it should have been picked up before it was, but you just would have thought in the professional game there would have been ways to kind of know that beforehand.
I think that goes back to what I was saying before, which is when I brought it up, the room went silent. People didn't want to be in a situation where they were basically saying, Saeed, is it possible that you're bending your arm more than you used to? It's a really awkward conversation in cricket, and I think it's taking the stigma away as part of it, because it's another part. It should just be another normal part of coaching.
Shakib Al Hassan to bowl his first delivery of the match, and Josh Butler has attempted to heave this up over mid-wicket and has successfully done so as well. Still within the power play, only 2 fielders allowed outside the circle. The one on the leg side was a deep square leg. And once Butler had got this ball up over the fielder inside, he was going to race away. All muscle, no timing really, but pressure on Shakib from the England skipper. 38 for 1 England. Butler readies himself. And again, playing deep in his crease. Clips this away for another single. 39 for 1. Kath.
Yeah, he played 2 shots there deep in his crease, trying to make a little bit of room for himself against Shakib. I mean, this is going to be a good battle, isn't it? Butler versus Shakib. I think it will be the battle that defines this game of who wins. But coming back to the bowling point about throwing and who should identify, I think it's coaches. I think all coaches out there should be able to identify when it happens and, you know, have a quiet conversation with their players and then help them. The biggest thing that players need is help and support when that does happen.
Shakib again, this time to the left-handed Milan, who is forward. Clips this ball straightish to the left of mid-on for a single.
Yeah, and as we've been saying, there is a stigma around it, but then there's a stigma around trying to change someone's bowling action as well. And I always see it as not change, but improvement as a coach. Do you want to improve as a bowler? And most bowlers do. We look at Norkir as a classic example. He went from a bent front leg to a braced front leg, and now has extra speed. So it's just changing that mindset that you can change technique for the better.
Fuller, Butler on the drive, another thick outside edge. Just a single. Butler moves to 15 from 11. So his intent is clear for all to see. Targeting mid-wicket again. Just a little bit of additional bounce, I think, on that occasion. That could have gone anywhere.
Yeah, this surface has had a bit of invariable bounce. We saw Jofra Archer in the first innings, a length delivery that was popping up at the glove.
Forward, Malam happy to take the single. England move to 42 for 1. 1 ball left of the 5th over. Bangladesh at a similar stage, 38 without loss. So England ahead of the run rate. Bangladesh only lost 2 wickets, and it's always a bit of a strange looking scorecard when a team, you know, 158 for 2, 158 for 6 makes sense. 158 for 2 doesn't make quite as much sense. You're trying to work out what happened. Well, that's a resolute and technically perfect defensive prod from Josh Butler to see the over out. The batters are going to have a little drink. We've got 1 ball over left of the power play. Butler 15, Milan 21. The wicket of Phil Salt, the only blemish so far for England. Bangladesh setting 158 for 2. And after a little word from Kath Dalton, it will be Andrew McKenna.
And Bangladesh will be happy that they've taken that first wicket, haven't conceded too many runs. But I think the key for England here is going to be Josh Butler. He's going well, 15 off 12 deliveries so far, but he's looked attacking, he's looked aggressive. Even that last delivery that he played, he had a thick outside edge, but he was going for his shots. And in the power play, that's something we've been accustomed to with this England side. Andrew McKenna.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Really fascinating game, this. I often say that there's not too much nuance in a T20 game. Well, actually, there's been quite a lot in this. Hassan Mahmood is going to be the second bowling change. He's going to bowl his first over and the final one of the power play. Right arm seamer, and he's in round about middle and leg to David Malan, who clips through mid-wicket beautifully with the minimum of fuss through wide mid-on and picks up 4. England 46 for 1. Steve Harmison's moved in alongside in the summarisers chair. That's a glorious shot, Harmy.
Beautiful shot by David Malan. He's timed the ball beautifully. He really has. A couple of shots on the leg side, straight ball down the ground. He's timed it. I think he's lucky. I really think he's lucky. I thought that was out, the LBW. I really did, but he's timed the ball superbly.
Hassan back in over the wicket, outside of off stump. Drive by Malan, fielded at short extra, and there is no run. So just to recap for everyone, if you've not seen or heard that LBW with us, so there might and might not have been an inside edge with the naked eye. There then was a spike between the ball going past the bat and it hitting the pad. I mean, purely if you're going on technology, Harmy, then it felt like it kind of should be not out. Hassan goes in, beats Malan on the outside edge on this occasion, through to Lytton Das, and there is no run. Yeah, just back to that LBW shout. The spike was between. So are you almost by definition saying, well, there then was another mark after it had hit the pad, therefore it's a syncing up issue? What was your thoughts on it?
Syncing up issue for me. I think it's gone past the bat, and the next frame is the point of contact with the pad. I'm going off player reaction.
As Hassan is in, Malan drops it down to short third, no run.
I always go off player reaction. Mackie, you've done sports commentary enough, whether you've done football, you've done rugby, you've done cricket. Initial reaction. David Malan's got no. David Malan hasn't hit that. His reaction is, I've not hit that. And when the spike came, his eyes lit up as to say, really? I've hit that? He had no clue that he had got an inside edge onto that.
And absolutely, and you're so right, because it was Joss Butler who talked him into reviewing it. They went down and had a chat. Normally, if you've inside edged it, straight away you're making the T sign. Malan is facing up Hassan. It's a lowish full toss, driven back so straight that it hits the stumps at the non-striker's end. Hassan hasn't got a touch on it, so there's no chance of a run out. 5 balls of the over gone, just that boundary off the first ball. 46 for 1 are England.
Again, another lovely piece of timing from David Malan. Low full toss, little bit of shape, not much. See, timed the ball beautifully. I think Joss would have been back in his crease if the bowler had touched it.
So final ball of the power play then. Bangladesh were 46 without loss after their power play. Malan will ensure that England have a lead, if you like, after the power play period, because he swings this one away to deep square to take a single. So England 47 for 1 after the power play period. So they're 1 run in the lead, if you like, but a wicket down. They're trying to make 159 to win this game, which is just a shade under 8 runs and over, and that's essentially what England are going at, doing 7.8 here on TalkSport 2 at the moment. Steve Harms.
It's been a good start for England. Well, we've talked in the build-up to this, Maka, about the pitches in Bangladesh being very difficult to get in on. So if you do get in, you have to take responsibility and see your side into a winning position. I thought Lytton Das did that very, very well, and Bangladesh did it well. So it's important that these 2 experienced characters for England do exactly the same in the next part of this, or the next phase of this game.
Shakib Al Hassan will continue as we get out of the power play period, and it's going to be a bit more left arm spin. Spin has taken the wicket of Phil Salt, stumped by Lytton Das. First ball that he faced, 3rd ball of the innings, 5 for 1. Lytton Das, by the way, before this series, as Shakib goes in, Malan goes on the reverse, misses, it takes him on the body, rolls out on the offside. Lytton Das had taken 1 stumping in T20 internationals before this series. He's now taken 3 in 2 games. He got 2 in 3 balls the other night, and he's taken another one today. Shakib in, off the back foot is Malan, punching to long on, single taken, 48 for 1. So England need 111 from 82 balls.
What a stumping it was, Maka. What a stumping it was. The bails whipped off like you'd not believe.
He did destroy them, though. There was only 1 stump standing.
don't really matter. It still says the same. Finger went up. Yeah, the lights come off at the same time.
It was a real demolition job. But for the aesthetics and the beauty of it. But anyway, Shakib will go into Butler. Turned around the corner, through square leg. The fielder is going to have to come all the way off the boundary, Hassan, but he does well. He gets in quickly, and it's just a single. Butler 16 from 13, England 49 for 1.
Yeah, I thought it was a beautiful bit of bowling as well. Really nice bit of bowling by Tanveer Islam. He really just threw it up and then just enough drift. And there's a lovely bit of stumping. So quick.
Absolutely. England 49 for 1. Milan's got 27. He's backing away to Shakib on this occasion. Hits square and finds the boundary. David Milan goes to 31 from 26 balls. He's got the vast majority of the England run so far. The 50 up, 53 for 1. Deep in his crease and punches it away for 4.
That's a really good shot by David Milan. He's not trying to hit it too hard. He knows where the fielder is behind square on the boundary, and it's placement, all placement.
Shakib over the wicket. Oh, Milan's gone long. Down towards long on this occasion. Has he got enough? Almost a brilliant catch. It goes for 6. But Shanto has gone full extension, is both feet off the ground and gets his right hand on the ball. It's like a goalkeeper trying to stop it going in the top corner. And he gets a hand to it, but he's not able to make it stick in the palm. And it goes away for 6. What a brilliant effort.
It was. He's trying to pull it back, isn't he? I don't think he's trying to catch it. I think he's trying to pull it back.
Shanto is watching as Milan turns this to square leg on this occasion for a single. To give you an idea, both feet, I reckon, are waist high off the floor. That's how athletic that was. That is, I mean, fielding has come on so much, largely thanks to things like T20 cricket, but that is just a brilliant effort. You're going to be seeing that on social media for the next few days at least. And if he doesn't win player of this series, I'll be absolutely astonished.
Yeah, well, I think that would have been the icing on the cake for him if he was going for player of the series. So he's in for player of the series. Great effort. He's both legs off the floor. He's nearly turned all the way around because he's trying to grab it as well as try and land back inside the rope. And I think he realised right at the last minute he wasn't going to make the catch, so he's trying to push it back at the same time and stop the boundary, and unfortunately just not being able to get enough on it to either catch the ball or to try and parry it back into play and stop the ball going for 6.
Huge cheers as Mustafizur Rahman gets to the end of his mark for his first over. For some of his left arm seam, spin, cutters, he basically bowls it all, and from all different ways. He's going to be left arm over to Milan. Short fine inside the circle. Mustafizur goes in, on off stump. Milan back to the bowl and no run.
Interesting that they're keeping the Fizzer for after the power play. I think, looking at the England batters, the struggles have had a little bit against left arm spin. They've tried to gamble a little bit on the power play and try to go for the wickets, knowing England not have the longest of frontline batters.
Mustafizur is in once again, beats Milan on this occasion, has a little bit of a back foot push at this one, beaten on the outside edge. Litton Das takes behind the stumps, has half an appeal, but there's nothing there. It remains 60 for 1.
A little bit more pace behind that one. Really swing, there's no swing now, but just a little bit more pace and just cramped David Milan for some room. Again, I think Bangladesh have gone to try and gamble in that power play to take wickets.
99 needed by England to win this game. Mustafizur is in, left arm over. Again, homing in around the top of off stump. Milan in behind this, pushes to point, no run. 3 deliveries, 3 dot balls, no runs in the over so far.
Good bowling, very good bowling from probably Bangladesh's most experienced seam bowler on show. Seeing a little replay of an ultra edge of one that David Milan's got a sort of 45 angle degree bat.
Yeah, that was the one that Lytton Das had half a polite appeal, but there's no significant waveform. There would have been a waveform on that one, because that's short and wide from Mustafizur, and Milan has guided that wide of Taskin down on the third boundary and away for 4. Just use the pace of the delivery as much as anything else. A genuine pace on ball. Milan deep in the crease, leaning back, guides it away for 4.
You mentioned about timing of David Milan in this innings so far. It's been more about the shots down the ground, down straight back down the ground, or sort of through wide mid-wicket. But that was a beauty cross-bat shot, given backward point, no chance.
5th ball of the over. Mustafizur is in. Milan again is pushing back down the pitch, no run. That was sort of homing in on the hip region. Milan solidly in behind, pushes it back.
Trying to cramp Milan for room, and it's worked. Four out of the 5 balls so far has worked, where not given any width from David Milan, trying to hit the pitch, not looking to go overly full to try and give Milan a chance to hit the ball well down the ground, which he's been doing. 4 out of 5 have been spot on.
Well, they're going to put long on into position, mid-on going back for the final ball of the over. Bluff or double bluff? Mustafizur goes in. Milan stays leg side of this, hits off the back foot straight to point, and there's no run. So 4 from the over, 64 for 1 after 8 are England. So they need 95 from 72 balls to win this final T20 of the series between Bangladesh and England. Exclusively live here on TalkSport 2. Steve Harness.
Yeah, fine over from the Fizzer. He bowled 5 balls, probably exactly where he's trying to bowl, which is that sort of back of a length, that good length area, trying to run it back into Milan's hip. Unfortunately, one just went on with the angle, and the short ball, the 4 ball, was put away by Milan, who looks in nice touch. It looks as though he's timing the ball beautifully. But again, Bangladesh bowler, good over, trying to squeeze England.
Hassan is at the end of his mark, so it's seam at both ends for the time being. He goes in. Jos Buttler plays a forward push to mid-off to Shakib, and there is no run. Of course, you can wake up with Chris Evans on weekday mornings on Virgin Radio. He's with you from 6:30 on DAB or the Virgin Radio. I've heard a story that he might be at Cheltenham this week with Mr. Brazil. So I don't know what Virgin's policy is on covering. We found out quite a lot on TalkSport down the years, but we may find out this week. Hassan goes in. Jos Buttler hits inside out over the covers out to the sweeper for just a single on the offside. 1 taken. 65 for 1.
Yeah, I think Mr. Evans and Mr. Brazil are together. They're not on an auction prize that somebody's paid a few quid for charity, and I think they're fulfilling that prize. So
in that case, good luck.
Good luck, yeah. I wonder who's covering each other's shows, just in case.
It's going to be an Ian Danter special, simulcast on both. Dance, stand by. Just get your latest CD ready. You can just play all of that. 60 from 48 balls these two have put on. After England were 5 for 1. David Milan's got 42. He's waiting for Hassan. Gets a lowish full toss, and he's almost brilliantly caught at short extra. Fielder diving away to his left-hand side. Again, full extension. And it's Ridoy there. Almost took an absolute beauty. He's horizontal, diving away to his left-hand side. And you know what? I'm going to be really harsh on him. Maybe he should get a bit more on that one.
Yeah, it seemed to hit the hard part of his sort of just below his wrist. Don't think it went into the fingers cleanly. He was diving.
They took a single from it, and Jos Buttler from the next delivery clips to long on for a single.
I've been saying this a lot, Macca. This is the most athletic Bangladesh team we have seen in such a long time. Yeah, maybe he should have caught that. But either look at the jump there. We just saw Shanto down on the boundary. Ebadot's not even playing their volleyballer. It's just incredible. You know, we've gone from Mustafa with his clanky knees to this. Poor Tamim, he could barely move in the field compared to these guys.
Well, that's very true. It's very true. We expect so much nowadays, don't we? 5th ball of the over. It's pulled away by David Milan as Hassan is slightly short, but with no real timing. Shanto is still down at long on. and it will just be a single. 5 balls, 4 singles. England 68 for 1, trying to make 159.
I think we're being a bit harsh there. I think I've looked at it again, and I didn't hit the palms of his hands. It just clipped the ends of his fingers, and he was diving full stretch. Again, another well-timed, low full toss, well-timed from Milan. I think that's a half chance, I would say.
I'm going to go with you there, Harvey. I think we were a bit tough initially. Right, final ball then of the over. Butler's got 18 from 16. Short third, point, extra, mid-off inside the ring on the offside. Hassan is in towards the base of middle, push towards short extra, and they can't prevent the single being taken. So 90 needed from 66 is the equation for England here on TalkSport 2, because they're 69 for 1 after 9 overs.
Another good over from Bangladesh. Again, gone differently than England gone with this. The seam in this sort of middle period, hitting the pitch hard, using the variations of slower balls, making England hit the ball down the ground, bowling straight, not trying to give England too much width where they can access the sort of square boundaries, making it very, very difficult for England to hit that big shot. The big shot is the sort of the carve over mid-wicket. Saying to England, if you want to go, you're going to have to hit it off a good length, straight back down the ground, and the ball's going to have a bit of pace on it as well.
Mustafizur to bowl his second over. Crowd a hum and a buzz. They've poured in once again to watch this T20 game. There's barely a seat spotted in the ground. They're enjoying this one, and why wouldn't they be? 2-0 up and looking for a 3-0. Mustafizur is in around the wicket on this occasion, and Jos Buttler beaten for pace as he's trying to guide it down to third, through to the keeper, no run.
Good pace, but into the pitch. The inconsistency of this surface, the ball now getting a little bit softer. The odd one sitting in, the on one sort of kissing, that looked a cross seamer, kissing through off the shiny part of the ball.
90 needed from 65. Mustafizur around the wicket to Jos Buttler. Slower ball into the surface, stands up, and Buttler from sort of rib cage height can't really do a great deal with it and ends up just prodding it back down the pitch. Bowler in his follow through, sprints in, collects, no run. 90 from 64 now.
Again, good bowling. It has been very, very good from Bangladesh in the last sort of 4 or 5 overs. And the most 2 experienced players at the crease. Knowing they've got to do the bulk of the work with the batting frailties we've talked about in depth of batting. But it's been very, very good disciplined bowling from Bangladesh here, backed up well in the field.
Around the wicket goes Mustafizur once again, off the back foot. On his toes is Buttler, but it's just pushed to the edge of the 30-metre circle at extra cover. So it's just a single, 70 for 1. 89 needed from 63, the equation.
Good work from Shakib Al Hasan. Got players now on the 30-metre circle because of England's equation. 89 off 63 balls. Singles at this minute in time, early part of the over, isn't hurting them. Not want to get the boundary early in the over. Make England get the boundary at the back end of the over, where there's a little bit more pressure on it.
David Milan's got 44 from 36. 5 4s and 2 6s so far. Mustafizur is over the wicket him. It's a short ball dug into the pitch. Milan immediately looks to the square leg umpire, who doesn't make a move, and Milan's got a teapot going on at the moment, thinking, well, hang on a minute, how high does it need to be before we call wide?
Yeah, and initially I think this is a wide. It did look high. It looped over David Milan. It was wide as well, not wide enough to be a wide, but from a side point of view. But I think height, I haven't seen a replay of it, but that did look as though it went well over David Milan's head.
Milan waits this occasion, hurries on to Milan actually from Mustafizur, takes him up on the stickers with no real time, and gets it out to short mid-wicket on the edge of the 30-metre circle, and it will be a single, 71 for 1.
Again, we're seeing Maka hitting the pitch hard. No consistency of length, trying to line for the batsman to line the bowler up. It's been some very, very good bowling, very well disciplined bowling, aggressive into the length. That one bounced a little bit. very difficult for the England batters to feel as though they're going to get any sort of any consistency off the surface, but also consistency from the Bangladeshi bowlers, which is what you want in the middle period of a game.
Final ball of the first half of the innings then. Mustafizur is in and bowls again. It's another cutter that really grips in the surface and bounce up. Josh Butler gets it down to short fine leg. Taskin will do the fielding, and that is the halfway stage. 72 for 1. England are 72 for 1. Bangladesh was 77 for 1 at the halfway stage. Worth pointing out though that they posted 159 for 2, but only put 27 for 1 in the final 5 overs of their innings. So although England are Bangladesh virtually halfway, there will be that little bit of a factor to play. So Harmy, some thoughts on you as we hit the halfway stage, and John Norman and Kath Dawson will come in and pick up the commentary.
I don't think both sides will be too disappointed where they are in this contest at this minute in time. I think Bangladesh have bowled very, very well, and it's up to them to nail the sort of final 10 overs. I think England, on the other hand, will, yes, they're a few runs behind where Bangladesh were, but they know that it's the experienced men of Butler and Malan who are at the crease now are going to have to do the large bulk of the work to win this game, along with probably Mo and Ali that's got left to come. So one of them has to put their hand up and take responsibility. So it's where this game goes from here. It's nicely poised. Experience of Shakil Al Hassan with the ball and captaincy, and the brilliance of Josh Butler with bat in hand and captaincy. So I think we're in for a fantastic last 10 overs of a contest which has been described as a dead rubber, but I'm not sure at this minute in time either sides or either captains will have any sort of negative mentality of a dead rubber in their thoughts. John Norman.
Yep, thanks Steve Harmison, myself John Norman alongside Kath Dalton, former Ireland international, also Jared Kimber. Halfway stage, England 71 for 1. I think, Kath, that we feared the worst. David Malan given out, first ball of the second over, leg before wicket. Taskin Ahmed with a Yorker which swung back into Malan's pads. The batter didn't realise he'd hit it, we hadn't realised he'd hit it. It took Josh Butler to discuss and decide that Malan should review a ball that we thought, if it was going to save him, it was because it was doing too much, possibly going down the leg side, but there was an inside edge. Malan survived, and he's still there. 45 from 38, 5 4s, 2 6s. He's playing the aggressor role, but he's also taken a lot more of the strike from his skipper Butler, who's just going along nicely. 21 from 21.
Yeah, this is a great partnership, isn't it? After losing the early wicket, England, they've rebuilt really well, and Butler only going out run a ball, as you said, is quite unusual for him. So he has sat in behind Malan, who's looked really good. He's timed the ball nicely. He's looked to play straight. Anything that's been a fraction short, he's pounced upon. So England will just keep batting here. They'll take this as deep as possible, and I think we've got a contest on our hands.
I think we do. There's been a contest in all 3 of the T20s so far. England, of course, really under par with the bat in the first, or rather the second T20, but they still made a game of things as Taskin Ahmed is back and bowls his first delivery. It's a length delivery and the body of Butler, who will take a single. He moves to 22, strike rate of exactly 100, but David Malan 45 from 38. These are the 2 batters England wanted at the crease when they lost Phil Salt. First ball that he faced, stumped for a duck, but not a lot to come. There's been a lot of talk about the weak looking batting lineup. Ben Duckett next in, then Moeen Ali, and Sam Curran currently down to bat at number 6, followed by Wokes Jordan, 2 Chris's, Adil Rashid, Rayan Ahmed and Jofra Archer. If we were to get that far, we have got a match. Struck on the pads this time, Malan, but this is way down the leg side, and there was a lone shout from the bowler. Certainly wasn't backed up by the keeper there.
I think that was a very lone shout, wasn't it? He bowled an off cutter, nowhere near out that delivery. Taskin Ahmed, he's just up for this battle. I think he's just shouting for everything at the moment.
Well, it says something that this capacity crowd, which cheered a wide earlier on today, that was dropped by the keeper, even they didn't get involved in that one.
Even they're looking at Taskin now. Come on, mate, that's nowhere near.
Back to you, Mark. 69 from 60 deliveries then as Jos Buttler readies himself. That's the partnership for the second wicket. Just 3 wickets today have fallen. Short delivery on the pull is Jos Buttler, and this is absolutely laced to the deep square boundary. The fielder in front of square, he must have been maybe, I don't know, 7 or 8 paces, and he absolutely dashed to try and cut that off. But that was a sweetly struck 4 from the bat of Jos Buttler. He moves to 26. The score moves along by 4 as well.
He has absolutely crunched that off the front foot. Wonderful swing of the bat by Jos Buttler. Just so much time. The best players always look like they've got a lot of time and they're at ease when they're playing shots like that. Great shot.
It's a little rejig in the field, perhaps, as Taskin readies himself. He's in now, though. Long run up. Approaches a crease, short again, really dug in. There's a shy at the stumps at mid-wicket at the non-striker's end. And Buttler on the hurry-up. I think he would have been home. And it's another run. No timing there from Buttler on the pull. It was a good pick-up and throw. But, yeah, Buttler clearly home. If the balls had hit the stumps, it didn't. So another score, another run added to the score. Bangladesh setting England 159 to win this third T20. England don't want to become just the second team to be series whitewashed in the history of T20 cricket in Bangladesh. 81 needed from 57, 9 wickets in hand.
The thing for England here is these two are going to have to do a lot of the work. They're going to have to get this total into a good position because, as we've said, the lower middle order of this England side has not performed so far. So they'll know that, and there'll be a little lack of trust, I suppose, in their batting partners to come.
Pitched up by Ahmed, drilled straight to the fielder at wideish mid-off, no run. What we've seen from this pitch as well, it's not a wicket-taking pitch. We saw a couple of catches go down. Bangladesh should have lost 4 or 5 wickets, actually. They lost just 2. England have lost just the 1, but it's a little bit sticky, isn't it? We've seen some clean hitting, but we haven't seen a great deal of it. So a batter coming in with a run rate hovering around 9 or 10, 4 or 5 overs to go, that's when it's going to get tricky. So plenty of importance on the shoulders of these two. Malan, 45 not out, eyeing up another half century as he waits and rocks back on the back foot, pulls this handsome and splits the field as well. Well, he didn't seem to power it, but it was all about placement. There was a fielder in front of square, and there was also one stationed at long on. And David Malan has managed to bisect both of those, and he moves within 1 of 50. Brilliant shot.
That was a very good shot because that was another slower ball into the surface, and we've seen a sort of tennis ball-like bounce on the slower ball deliveries. Batters have found it hard to time, but he's just picked his gap. And that's interesting because that's the first time we've really seen an England player on the pull shot look to dissect the field. Normally they've just gone for pure power and that hasn't come off. So maybe that's the way to go, particularly on the back foot on the pull shots on this surface.
Yeah, most of the pull shots have gone squarer than that, haven't they?
They have.
Shots to that side of the ground, the mid-wicket really, have been normally straighter hits. So maybe just sat up a little bit more. Possibly Milan just getting more and more used to these conditions, which again is important. And listening to Milan speak after that first ODI when he hit 100, he said it was a really weird, it was a difficult pitch. He said he never really felt in. There was very short periods where he felt in control. He said essentially it was a difficult pitch to play on. Bowlers were in the ascendancy for most of it. Maybe he'll be saying something similar after his innings later on tonight. We shall see. Either way, it's Jos Buttler who's about to face a first delivery from Mahedi, who picked up 4 wickets in the second match, was player of the match as well, but we've had to wait to see him. Full delivery, pitched up, and Buttler has just smashed this. Well, actually, he hasn't smashed it, he's placed this. Wrists again, a lot of bottom hand, and he's just almost chipped this up over the bowler. It's gone straight, and it's gone for 4.
This is almost a textbook Buttler shot. Just gave himself a fraction bit of room into the leg side, freed his hands up, as you said, John, correctly so, a bit wristy, but it's hit that dead straight.
This time he does try for the slog sweep and an inside edge into the turf.
This is almost batting on a club pitch, isn't it, in England in April? One ball comes through, one ball bounces, one ball keeps low. Good luck.
Well, England have needed a little bit of luck, I suppose, as did Bangladesh. There's 2 drops reprieving. Well, that's a beautiful shot from Buttler again. He makes himself a little bit of room, and he has lofted this delivery. Full again from Mehedi Hassan, and he's lofted this over long off for 6.
Yeah, great hand speed by Buttler. He's taken half a step forward. That was another full delivery, a little bit over pitched. It didn't sound like he got all of it, almost the bottom of his bat, but got enough of it with that hand speed to go 87 metres.
Yeah, when the ball left the bat, I thought it was 6 all the way, and then just for a second it looked like it may have the elevation but not the distance, and in the end it did. It comfortably beat the fielder running around at long off, but not by as much as first indicated from the shot. 37 from 27. A little bit of a problem here for Bangladesh. Mehedi Hassan's first 3 deliveries have gone for 10, and he's in now. Over the wicket this time, on off stump, and played to long off for a single from Jos Buttler, who's suddenly hit the acceleration button.
I think he's just gone too full. He's looked to bowl a little bit too full in the last game, taking 4 for 12. He's a key bowler, so Butler's probably thought, if I can go at him and put him under a bit of pressure, then that will just relieve it from the other bowlers. He's just gone too full, Mehedi, in this over so far.
Brings Milan back on strike, 49 from 41. Mehedi Hassan, who was dropped after 1 game of the T20 World Cup, had to wait quite some time before he was brought back into the side as Milan pushes this into the offside. No run. Player of the match in that T20, but how quickly fortunes can change. Tell you what, now England's target. It looks manageable. 65 from 50. Again, Milan playing off the back foot, pushing the ball into the offside, exposing all 3 stumps. Off stump line from Mehedi Hassan, and that's 50 up for David Milan as well. Had a good strike rate. Sometimes questioned about how fast he goes at the front end of his innings, but when he sticks around, he's shown he's more than capable of catching up. So a good knock from him, and it's exactly what England needed after losing that early wicket of Phil Salt without scoring.
Yeah, another brilliant knock on this tour by David Milan. He's been one of the better batters in this tour for England, but Jos Buttler there has just taken the game a little bit away from Bangladesh in that over. That's how quickly things can change in T20 cricket. A couple of boundaries in that over, and he's raced to 38 off 28. Sometimes that can just shift the momentum of an innings.
Yeah, absolutely. Milan really bookending his series. A big 100 at this ground at the start of the ODI series, and now 50 on his return. The final match of 6 that we brought to you here on TalkSport 2. Listening via DAB digital radio, but there are other ways of listening. If you're out the house, just check out the free TalkSport app. Swipe left for TalkSport 2 and you'll find us. We're out there walking the dog, picking up the kids from school. Jarrod Kimber as David Milan take another single from first baller Shakib Al Hassan's 3rd over.
So my guess is that the reason we only saw Mehedi for the 12th over is because Jos Buttler was out there. But the problem is that Jos Buttler averages 55 against off spin and scores at a strike rate of 145 against it. But also now he's set. So if you're going to bowl, if you know you're going to have to bowl Mehedi Hassan, it's probably better off to bowl the off spin to him early on and make him make those decisions rather than when he's already set. So I think that's a thing, again, when we look at matchups that sometimes teams get a little bit wrong. And also, you had David Milan at the other end.
Al Hassan is in round the wicket this time to Buttler, thick inside edge. Another single, 97 for 1. England needs 62 from 46 deliveries.
So if you wanted to put pressure on David Milan, you've missed out on that ability, and you've also missed out on the ability to use Mehedi Hassan as much as you want. It may not matter because they have quite a all-round team, Bangladesh, so they have other options, but we know how good Mehedi Hassan is. And
down the track this time is Milan, really heaves this ball across the line. We'll definitely have 1, and it will stay at 1. 98 for 1 now, England.
And we saw with the other game, I think Taijul Islam bowled 1 over early on, got hit in a bad matchup against Moeen Ali, and we didn't see him again. I think they're just getting a little bit too dogmatic, and they're not thinking about it from a cricket perspective at the moment, Bangladesh.
6 bowlers used by Bangladesh today, 8 in the last match, as Buttler is playing deep in his crease pushes his ball to point. One more run. I just want to see, I mean, like we all do, I'm sure. Hundreds of thousands of people tuning into TalkSport 2. Will Shamim Hossain bowl a delivery? Because he played in one match, didn't bat or bowl. He didn't bat today. He hasn't bowled so far. I mean, I don't know what the match fee is for a Bangladesh international cricketer, but thank you very much. Thanks for coming. Down the track is David Malan. Another single to the score. England move to 100. 100 for one. 2 balls left of the 13th over. 1 ball left of the 13th over. Butler moves to 40.
That's called the old TFC, isn't it? Thanks for coming. Normally,
It's good money if you can get it.
Yeah, normally you pay for that on a Saturday in club cricket.
Butler, last ball of the over, bowled by Shakib Al Hasan again. Butler is back and sends David Malan back as well. Was interested in a non-existent run. England need 59 runs, 42 balls to get them in. A run to over rate of 8.43. 2 set batters at the crease. This is game, set, and match. England, unless we see the mystery of Shamim Hossain bowl a couple of overs.
I think you would have done it for a lot cheaper as well, John. The same job, a lot cheaper. Now, England are in a really good position here, aren't they, with Malan and Butler set. They look in good form, and as we said on this surface, it's not easy to get in. So when you get in, you may as well stick around for as long as possible. I'm just wondering whether Bangladesh are going to regret how they batted at the back end of that innings. They were in a really good position up until the last 3 or 4 and never really seemed to accelerate.
Well, you're right. 131 for 1 with 5 overs to go. I mean, and 2 set batters at the crease. You're thinking 180 from there, minimum. And they ended up with 158. And they only lost 1 wicket. So, yeah, that certainly is similar to I think I'm right in saying the first. Yeah, similar to the first T20. England were 126 for 2. As Mustafa Rahman is back. And this is outside edge and brilliantly caught by Lytton Das. Behind the stumps, reaching up goalkeeper style to take this above his head, two-handed, and David Malan's innings has come to an end. England lose their second wicket, 100 for 2.
That is a big blow for England, but what a fantastic catch over his head by Lytton Das. Full in the air, both feet off the ground, goalkeeper style over his head. He's having a great day, Lytton Das, but take nothing away from David Malan. That was a wonderful knock. From England's perspective, would have wanted him to hang around probably an over or 2 more just to eat into that total. But this is the pressure now. This is the big moment with Ben Duckett coming to the crease. Can England's lower middle order do a job, or can Bangladesh turn this game around on its head?
Well, absolutely. It was all going a little bit too simply and too easily for England. And one thing that's been consistent across all of the 5 white ball games leading up to this match today is that at no stage has anything really seemed that easy. All the games have pretty much been nip and tuck. This one has continued, and as you say, Ben Duckett now coming to the crease. He looked good in his short stay on match day 1, his first T20, and indeed he was dealt a bit of a bum hand in the second T20. But if you can see England home from here, you can look back at a wonderful winter on his return to England colours. 59 needed then from 41. Mustafa Rahman has struck with the first ball of his 3rd over. Shakib Al Hasan still got 1 as well. So the ability for Bangladesh here, if they can keep Butler off strike, just to put a bit of pressure, apply the squeeze on England for an over or 2, get that run rate up over 10s. Still within grasp for sure, and you'd say that England are still heavy favourites to win. But a key little passage of play coming up right here on TalkSport 2 as Rahman is in, and this is pushed into the outside end, a throw at the stumps of the striker's end. Butler's been called through by Duckett, who wanted to get off strike. Mahedi Hassan, who was punished in the last over, has thrown the stumps down, and I think from the reaction of the fielders that Jos Buttler has been run out.
I think he's gone. That is a huge moment in this game. We talk about moments. There's one. Butler is run out. Direct hit. Fabulous bit of fielding. We've praised Bangladesh and their fielding today. That has turned the game, John.
Well, they say, as the crowd realise that Buttler's got to go, when you're fielding and you're throwing at the stumps, you aim for the base of them. That is exactly what Mehdi Hassan has just done there. The ball has been played straight to the fielder at point, cover. He's picked it up and thrown the stumps down at the striker's end. Jos Buttler, the England skipper, has been run out, and England, in a blink of an eye, have lost 2 set batters in 2 deliveries, 100 for 1 and coasting to 100 for 3, and they're floundering.
And that's what's so exciting about T20 cricket. In a couple of balls, everything can change. We were just saying 2 balls ago that England look like they're in the ascendancy. They're building a nice partnership with Malan and Buttler at the crease. Now 2 new batters at the crease, and Moeen Ali, who I've not really seen score too many runs recently, hasn't been in great form. It's putting a lot of pressure on this lower middle order now.
Now, whose call was that, Kath? Whose call was that?
It's Buttler's call, isn't it?
I think it's Buttler's call. It's popped into the covers, straight to the fielder. That's Duckett's first ball. Jarrod Kimber?
Well, it's right on the line, so either of them could have called it. But if you look at where Buttler is, it's impossible to say he hasn't called that himself, because Duckett's barely out of the crease when the ball hits the stump. So it had to be Buttler who was calling that through.
Team hat-trick for Bangladesh. Moeen Ali at the crease. Mustafizer is in, pitched up, driven, beautifully so, in that kind of way that only left-handers can. And Moeen Ali gets off strike. Wow. Well, we said that this game was still alive. 101 for 3 then, England. And where's Ben Duckett's head at?
I'll tell you what, Moeen Ali there just looked like the game had happened around him as he played that wonderful cover drive. It just looked so out of context. Didn't look flustered at all, did he?
England are flustered though. Milan and Buttler now gone. And Duckett has played this delivery from Mustafa Rahman to the left of Mehdi Hassan. Cover point. Hassan at point and comes through for the single that he expected to have had first ball.
This is a big opportunity here for Ben Duckett and Moeen Ali just to really put their hand up and say, yes, we can bat in pressure situations. We can bat when the pitch isn't easy to play on. This is a great contest for them. And if they pull through this, would be a massive confidence booster.
Rahman in straight and defended by Moeen Ali. Eyes above the ball at point of contact. Dot ball, 102 for 3.
This is where the best players stay calm. The crowd's going crazy. Bangladesh were on a team hat-trick. You stay calm. You have your game plan. You know the pitch is difficult, so you give yourself time. And if they can do that here, that will show a lot of character and fight.
I wonder if Mehdi Hassan may be readying himself for a little bowl as well. 2 left-handers at the crease now. He was expensive in his 1 over, punished by Buttler, but Butler's gone. He's been run out for 40. Milan caught behind brilliantly by Litton Das for 53. Last ball of the over. It's a slower, shorter delivery, which Moeen Ali misses. He's through that shot so late. I mean, that's it's almost, I don't know, it's a good ball from Mustafa Rahman. We've seen this from him many times. Moeen Ali has just played this like he's never faced him before. But 57 from 36 needed. England 102 for 3. 2 new batters at the crease. Let's see who is thrown the ball now by Bangladesh for the 15th over.
Yeah, Moeen Ali looked like he was swatting flies on that delivery and couldn't quite catch them. No, this is a very important phase of the game, isn't it? 57 needed off 36 balls. You just feel a partnership here will break the back of this for England. But Bangladesh, you just feel like they're up. You feel like there's a sense about them at the moment.
Well, it is Mehdi Hassan who is going to bowl over number 15.
You should be a captain, John.
Captain, non-bowling, batting, all-rounder.
42nd most important person in cricket, or
41st.
41st, sorry. You would have been first in my eyes, John.
Oh, well done. Get your invoice in. Okay, Mehdi Hassan is in. He's running round the wickets to Ben Duckett. There's plenty of flight there. Inside edge, straight to the fielder at points, cover. And no run.
Didn't bounce, that ball.
Hassan again. This is on off-stump line and it's popped up. And I'm not sure if it's taken the shoulder of the bat or the shoulder of the batter. I don't think it's hit the bat, but the reaction of Lytton Dust behind the stumps was to catch that ball quick as it popped up. It did, it came off the glove, went straight to the keeper and is deflected out of his gloves and onto the turf. A bit of luck for England, possibly they need it. Hassan again is in, and Duckett late to get his bat down on this, exposing all three stumps and clipping the ball into the leg side. It's all going off again.
The first two balls of that over just show you how difficult it is to play on this pitch. One's kept very low, the second one's bounced on Duckett, he's gone back, got a bit of glove on it, maybe a bit of outside edge as well. Really hard surface to bat on, and credit to Milan's innings actually when you think back of how well he batted on this surface.
Wow, this crowd is invested in this match. Hopefully you are too, here on TalkSport 2, as we bring in the conclusion to the third T20. England need 56 from 33. They were coasting about an over and a half ago. 2 quick wickets, just seen a drop catch as well, as Moeen Ali, again, playing on a different pitch, gracefully just pushes this through the covers for a single, gets off strike. England 104 for 3.
There's something about left-handers, isn't there? They're just so elegant when they play a cover drive. Right-handed batters just never look like that. I don't know what it is.
I think it's to do the mirror effect, isn't it? Isn't that right? 55 from 32, although Ian Bell and Mark Wall were pretty good. There's a little scoop definitely done by Ben Duckett. He's going to pick up 4 here. That was nicely done. Didn't try and play square, didn't try and push it into the covers. Just got a leg down the track and just clipped this up over the keeper for 4.
And this is something that Ben Duckett's very good at. You know, opening the face, getting that behind square. That's a really clever cricket shot. That just forces the bowler to think again, because he was going back in the last couple of deliveries, trying to go back and cut it, and there he's just decided, no, that's not an option for me.
51 needed, 31 balls to come as Mehdi Hassan is in, and this is defended on the front foot from Ben Duckett. He remains 6 not out. Moeen Ali 2 from 4, and we have 5 overs left of this engrossing T20. It's changed in a blink of an eye. England were 100 for 1, they're now 108 for 3. 5 overs remaining, and after a quick word from Kath Dalton, it'll be Andrew McKenna to talk you through the conclusion.
We've seen this game change on its head in the blink of an eye, in maybe an over. Those 2 balls, 2 wickets in 2 balls really have changed the tide of this game, so anything is possible from here. We know the capabilities of Ben Duckett and Moeen Ali. They could see England home, but another wicket here and you feel like this could be Bangladesh's game. Andrew McKenna.
What a cracking game. Something about low-scoring matches, isn't there, where every run is such a battle. England 108 for 3 at this stage after 15. Bangladesh 131 for 1. And where we're going, it's going to be Hassan with his right arm seam to bowl to Moeen Ali. Over the wicket, Moeen gives himself a bit of room and swing and a miss outside of off stump, and there is no run. 51 from 29. Harmy has joined me as well. Harmy, can we just go back to that run out for a moment? Mehdi's throw is absolutely brilliant because he has to move to his left hand side. Is a right arm throw, so actually throwing to the non-striker's end is probably the easier option. Moeen Ali beaten again with a slower ball from Hassan Ali outside of off stump, bounces through to the keeper, no run. 2 balls, no run so far. 51 from 28. So Mehdi actually goes around his body to throw back to the keeper's end, which makes the throw even better for my money.
Yeah, it's a great bit of technique from the fielding point of view. You're right, the easier option was to go.
Moeen Ali has swung hard at Hassan. He's got underneath this. Has he got enough of a carry? For 6 he has. It was a long way up, and everyone, when it left the bat, was immediately thinking, is long on in business. Actually, the person who was nearest to it when it came down was the steward in the high of his jacket, 15 metres behind the rope. And that is what Moeen Ali can do. That's a belting shot, 114 for 3.
Yeah, he got all of that, did Moeen Ali, right out the middle of the bat. It went high, but it went long.
This one is full in towards the base of the stumps. Moeen Ali pushes to long on. Shanto will field. Single taken, 115 for 3.
Just to finish on the run out, instead of going to the sort of bowler's end, which is the natural end where your momentum's going and all the forces are going, when you turn and open your body up, from a coaching point of view, your head position and your shoulders have got to be so important going back into the target, and that's what he got right. If he leans back, the ball doesn't come out with any pace. It just loops up in the air, doesn't get there as quick.
Duckett swings hard at Hassan this occasion towards mid-wicket and gets 4. Long on is inside the circle. It was about 10 metres to his left at mid-on, and as soon as it beat the man in the circle, that was going away for a boundary. Ben Duckett spotted the gap and hammered it through it. So another boundary this over for England, and all of a sudden 11 runs in 3 balls. England need 40 from 25.
It's a poor ball. It really is a poor ball when they've gone very disciplined into length. No real pace, and it's sat up, and that's a shot Ben Duckett plays well.
This is in towards the base of the stumps again. Duckett is trying to carve into the offside because Bangladesh have got 3 in a ring on the offside. They've got cover, extra cover and mid-off, and he goes to the squarest one of those, the cover fielder. And England need 40 from 24, 119 for 3 from 16. Duckett has 10, Moeen Ali has 6.
40 off 24. You just think that if these two, even possibly one more wicket, Sam Curran, you think if England can bat the 20 overs, you fancy them to get the 40 off the last 4 overs. Moeen Ali looks in a nice bit of touch. Ben Duckett's played some good shots, and I think they identified that was the over to go. Young, more inexperienced bowler, he was the one to target in that last over, and they targeted him very, very well. Big 6 by Moeen Ali down the ground. Good shot by Ben Duckett.
Well, Taskin Ahmed is going to bowl his final over, and he starts just back of a length to Moeen Ali. Moeen puts it back down the pitch, no run, and just sends a signal to Duckett saying he just ran his fingers over that one. So 40 from 23.
And that's what Bangladesh have done well, especially Taskin Ahmed. Mustafa Fizzer has done it well, where they've bowled it hard into the surface. They've not tried to mix it too much up. Hard into surface, trying to cramp the batsman from room and use the inconsistency of the surface for the batters not being able to hit the ball.
Taskin goes slightly short again. Moeen Ali swings him into the leg side, and he's caught on the boundary. Moeen thought he got one to hit, but he didn't quite get enough on it. 2 more metres and it was 6. As it is, Moeen Ali is out for 9, and England are 119 for 4 here on TalkSport 2.
Again, we said, bowl it into the surface, be disciplined, try and cramp the batter for room. Moeen Ali will be disappointed he didn't put that one away. It was there to be hit. It really was in Moeen Ali's slot. He'd be devastated that he hasn't hit that for 6. Bowler's got hands, he's waiting and waiting. Has Moeen Ali got enough of it? He's praying, if anything else. And his ball's just come down just inside of the line. Mahedi takes a very comfortable catch 3 or 4 yards in, and he said if England lose one more wicket, they still have a chance to win the game with both batters being out with 4 overs to go. Well, I think England would rather have had the experience of Moeen Ali at the crease rather than 2 more inexperienced 2020 international players in Curran and in Ben Duckett.
Yep, Sam Curran walks out, has a conversation with Ben Duckett. You knew it wasn't going to be a simple end to this game, didn't you? The whole series has been like this, so why should it be any different? And our mate Taskin has got himself another one. He's an absolute workhorse for this team, and he celebrates quite rightly taking that wicket. Mahedi gave it the large one out on the boundary. He's having a big effect on this game. Run out, and then the catch. Taskin's got 1 for 22. And he's on his way to bowl over the wicket to the left-handed Sam Curran. Oh, he's given him a bit of width first up. He's driven it wide of point, partially stopped. They'll be able to take one. Shamim coming off of the boundary tidies up only one. So Curran underway. England 120 for 4. It's 39 off 21, the equation.
It has been really good from Taskin Ahmed and from Mustafa Fizzer, the two more experienced seamers who really have used the sort of good length of this surface to their advantage. Taskin's bowled 12 dot balls, 3.5 overs. The Fizzers bowled 12 dot balls in 3 overs. Really discipline shown by them, helping the Bangladeshi captain.
Mahedi is just getting a word in his ear hole from one of the non-playing players. There's obviously a theory come out from the bench. In goes Taskin. It's a lowish full toss that is off the outside edge of Duckett's back down to the third boundary. Fielder is back there, so it's just a single. 38 from 20. That might be about the bowling options. Tanvir bowled 2 overs, 1 for 17 to open things up with his left arm spin. This is Taskin's final over, so someone's going to have to replace him. Shakib's bowled 3, 0 for 26. Hassan Mahmood 3, 0 for 21. Mustafa Fizzer 1 for 9 from 3. Mehdi Hassan 2 overs have cost 18.
He's got options, Shakib. He's got options.
Walking in with the bowler. Taskin is on his way. Sam Curran gives himself a little bit of room to the leg side and goes to long on for a comfortable single. Take what's there and put the bad ball away. So England get 1 to mean it's now 37 required from 19 here on TalkSport 2.
Yeah, in the last couple of games, Shakib Al Hassan has gone with his 5 out-and-out bowlers. He's not deviated from that, but in this game he's got a 6th bowler in play, so it gives him the breathing space of an option of possibly not bowling Hassan, who's just been expensive in that last over.
Final ball then from Taskin, and then he can take the bowling boots off for the final time this series. In he comes, right arm over. Duckett gives himself a little bit of room to the leg side. Taskin has gone for the slower ball bumper. Oh, he's going to have to get those bowling boots back on because it's been called wide for height, so he'll have to do it again. England need 36 from 19.
Just a bit too high, isn't it? Just a bit too high. A bit eager to get out of the over without a boundary against his name and damage. He's bowled well in this series so far. He's only took, a wicket in each of the games, but he's been very reliable for his captain.
So here we go then. On his way, over the wicket to Duckett. Duckett again gives himself some room and loses his off stump. Taskin will be delighted he's bowled that wide now, because it means he finishes with a 2 for 26, and England are 5 down. 123 for 5, needing 36 from 18 to win this game.
Exactly what you want as a fast bowler to see, and even better now when the stumps are lit up. Off stump, cartwheeling, bouncing, once, twice, 3 times it's cartwheel back towards the wicketkeeper and Taskin off, both arms aloft, either the aeroplane style. He knew that was a big wicket, huge wicket for Bangladesh, getting rid of Ben Duckett. England now gone from being in complete control of this game at 100 for 1 at 123 for 5, needing 36 off 18 balls. I think the money's now just swayed into the Bangladeshi favour.
I mentioned this earlier on today, before the start of the game. Our friends at 888 Sport had Bangladesh at almost 2-1 to win this game. They were 2-0 up in the series. England have been odds on in every one of the matches and have come up short so far in this series. Just feels like Bangladesh are going to get their noses in front in this one as well. Chris Wokes comes out. Still got Chris Jordan, Adil Rashid, Rayan Ahmed and Jofra Archer to come. But they can't afford to lose many more wickets, because if nothing else, that's another ball gone. It's 2 a ball as it stands. 36 from 18 the equation now. Right. This is going to be a good finish. Hope you're enjoying it on your DAB digital radio, or the TalkSport app, or via your smart speaker or TalkSport.com. Stay with us through the rest of the afternoon, because there's action coming up from Cheltenham. Right, Mustafa Fizzer for his final over. It is Sam Curran, full and straight, pushes back down the pitch, no run. Nothing he can do there. 36 now needed from 17.
I think this is a good option from Shakib Al Hassan. He could have could have kept Mustafa Fizzer for the next over or potentially the last over. I think he's identified with two newer batters at the crease. England a long way behind the rate, 2 runs per ball. Probably his best bowler on show tonight, 1 for 9 off 3 overs, really going for the kill now.
Mustafa Fizzer is in once again inside edge of Sam Curran's bat, and it goes just past leg stump. Down to short fine leg, and they will take a single. 35 needed from 16. England 124 for 5. By the way, I should mention Mustafa Fizzer, when he got David Malan caught behind, that was his 100th T20 international wicket, makes him the second Bangladeshi to get to that mark. Obviously Shakib Al Hassan the first, but Mustafa Fizzer gets there. He's got 4 more balls to send down this evening. Deep breath, everybody. Right, Chris Woakes has taken guard. 35 from 16 the equation. Mustafa Fizzer has got it seam up position in his fingers. He can change it later if he wants. He goes in, left arm over, goes full towards the base of off stump. Woakes squeezes it to, well, sort of halfway between deep third and backward point. Just a single taken, fielder exactly there. So it's 125 for 5. England have gone from 100 for 1, well, when the 5th wicket went down, to 1-2-3. So, as again, they've lost in clusters, which is not a great way to be. 4 for 23 in 24 balls. Again, Mustafa Fizzer is in. Again, he's taking the inside edge of Curran's bat. Drops down off his foot. Unfortunately, rolls away from the stumps, not towards them. It's another single. 34 from 15.
And we talked right at the very top of this game about how difficult the batting is on these surfaces when you first come in. That somebody does grab the initiative when they're in. Litin Das did it for Bangladesh. David Malan nearly did it for England along with Jos Buttler, but now it's very, very difficult to come in.
Mustafa Fizzer in. Chris Woakes gets a slower ball that he gets out the way of and then tries to play a late dab down towards third. Doesn't get anything on it. It bounces a second time in front of Litin Das, and again there is no run, and that incredibly flexible wrist of Mustafa Fizzer comes into its own once again as he bowls a ripping spinning delivery.
Yeah, it's like a Murley on it. It's like right arm Murley. His wrist gone all the way around, and the control of that is ridiculous.
It's got to hurt, surely. Mustafa Fizzer goes in, bowls a slower, shorter one. Woakes yanks it into the leg side to Mahedi. They're going to take on the throw and come back for a second quite easily in the end, actually. Litin Das got pulled away from the stumps. Woakes would have been back anyway. 31 needed from 12. That's 18 gone here on TalkSport 2. 128 for 5.
Yeah, good running from England, but 4 fantastic overs from Mustafa Fizzer. 1 for 14 off his 4 overs. He has bowled very, very well. We talked about his aggression into length and not giving anything for England batters to hit, but his change up in that last over and the one before that when he bowled a little bit earlier were superb and really, really been a huge benefit to Shakib Al Hassan, the Bangladeshi captain, and an ability to squeeze England in this middle period, put pressure on, making Jos Buttler and David Malan go for that big shot a little bit earlier than they'd want to. Unfortunately for England, they lost their wicket and dug England into a big hole.
Right, it's going to be Shakib Al Hassan, so the big players are all coming out. They don't want to be saving it for the last over. They want to make the last over as hard as possible. So Shakib's going to bowl left arm over to Sam Curran, deep in the crease, swings at it, gets a leading edge and is caught on the edge of the circle by Tanvir and goes. England lose their 6th. Curran's gone for 4 and England are 128 for 6, so need 31 from 11 deliveries.
England are on the brink. England are on the brink of a whitewash. Shakib Al Hassan just holds it back. I think he's bringing himself on largely down to the time factor in this game. I think they've only had 5 overs to get into the last over. So Shakib Al Hassan's come on. He's asked for the ball straight back after Tanvir caught that ball from Sam Curran.
Yeah, he had no interest in celebrating
None
whatsoever, did he?
No, none whatsoever. Job to be done, job to be finished. We don't want to be running the risk of going into using up all the allotted time and get penalised. We are on the brink of beating England by 3-0, a whitewash in a 2020 series after England have just won the World Cup. This is huge for Bangladeshi cricket, and do you know what, Macca? Over the 3 games, I think they've deserved to beat England in all 3 games because they've just been so much better than England.
100%. Right, Chris Jordan is out there. Around the wicket is Shakib, slightly short of a length. Jordan manages to push it back past the bowler on the onside, and they will take a single to the long on coming off of the boundary. So 30 needed from 10. Yeah, so as Harmy was saying, they're behind in the over rate, so if they don't complete the overs in time, they would have to bowl the last over with an extra fielder inside the circle, and obviously England are going to have him to be trying to hit long balls by that point. Therefore anything potentially that goes out, therefore you might not be able to have the extra man on the boundary that you want. Right, okay, here we go then. Wokes on strike, 3 a ball is the requirement. 129 for 6. Shakib around the wicket. Wokes sets himself deep in the crease. He's always swinging that one to leg, but he's found the fielder at deep square leg, so it's just 129 needed from 9 here on TalkSport 2.
Again, another canny bit of bowling by Shakib Al Hasan. He's just bowling the ball into sort of middling leg, taking all the pace offense into it. England batters, you're going to have to power this for 6. Again, no pace on this one outside of off stump to Jordan. Afif will do the fielding, the sub fielder out on the cover boundary, so again just a single. 28 off of 8, and that noise is the air slowly going out of England's balloon. They just can't get over the line, it would seem, at the moment in this series. Shakib Al Hasan around the wicket. Chris Wokes comes down to meet him, but there's no real timing out to long on, and it's just a single. 27 from 7. Right, 1 more ball for Shakib. 1 for 30 so far. I mean, it's got to go from Chris Jordan. It's as simple as that. It has to go. Shakib in, gives it some width. It's beaten Jordan's outside edge, and that is the end of the over. 27 required off the final over. It's 132 for 6. And Shakib Al Hasan is sprinting down the pitch, screaming at fielders, saying, "Get in your positions. We cannot risk the umpires saying, no, we need to bring a man in." Shakib, though, has finished 4 overs, 1 for 30. Steve Harmison.
When that wicket happened as well, Mac, I'm not sure if you saw it, but the Bangladeshi started to celebrate it, and he went, no, give me the ball, stop. And whoever took the catch put his finger up to his lips, and Shakib was like, stop being silly, give me the ball, I'm going to be at the top of my mark ready. He's completely on top of this. I'm not sure his team is quite as on top of it as he is.
Yeah, young lads getting carried away that they're going to beat the world champions 3-0 in a series straight after the World Cup.
Well, here we go, the final over. Hassan, the right arm seamer, starts the over, and Chris Wokes does what's needed. He gets it over the infield. It's a low full toss at the base of off stump and gets a 1 bounce 4 through long off. That's a really good shot from Wokes. Didn't try to overhit it and gets 4. England have 4 of the 27 they need.
Yeah, this is fine balance now. I know England are a long way away. 27's a lot of runs, but trying to get them round the field, and you just sometimes might get carried away with yourself and lose concentration, lose focus on what you're trying to do by rushing it and trying to get there too quickly. Just need a bit of calmness. Overstarted.
Yeah, now the clock doesn't matter. You have to have started the final over. As a result, Shakib wanders in and has a chat with the bowler. Now he makes his way back out to the boundary, and Hassan is coming in once again to Chris Wokes. In towards the base of off stump. Speared through backward point, 4 more! Game right on! Wokes has gone 4-4. England are 140 for 6, and it's just still possible. And there's a bit of concern in the Bangladeshi camp, because Alan Donald, the bowling coach, is running out to the edge of the boundary to get a message on to Shakib Al Hasan. That tells you they're worried.
Yeah, they've just gone away from their plan here. They've bowled 2 full balls. Hassan's went for a few in the over before, but 2 full balls which are easier to hit. Needs to hit the surface, which has worked so well for Bangladesh so far. Can England hit 6s off the good length and are inconsistent with bounce, with a softer ball? They're playing into Chris Woakes' hands here by going full.
19 needed, 4 balls to get them. Hassan goes in, it's a slow ball, one swing and a miss, they'll run a by through to the keeper. You can tell by the clatter of stumps that Lytton Dass's underarm throw has hit the stumps, but Jordan is safely home. It means England, there are 3 balls left and Chris Jordan has to hit each one of them for 6. 18 from 3 the equation.
Much better from Hassan. He's took the pace off the ball, made the England batters hit the ball and dragged it into, still relatively full, but into a wider line, which made England batter and Chris Woakes had to chase it. Showed a little bit more composure there.
Well, Chris, now or never. All 3 have got to go for 6. Here comes Hassan in, right arm over, swing and a miss from Jordan. They run a by through to the keeper, but that will be all she wrote, unless something truly bonkers happens in the next couple of deliveries, like several wides, no balls and free hits, because it's now 17 needed off 2. Bangladesh are about 3 minutes away from their second clean sweep of a 3-match T20 international series and their first for 11 years.
Much better. Alan Donald's gone out to have a word and he's probably said exactly what Shakib Al Hassan has said. Hassan, just calm down. We've tried to get round too quickly. We've lost our focus a little bit, lost our discipline a bit. Just get back to what we've been doing.
Hassan goes in again, bowls a cutter. Chris Jordan is running through to the keeper. Chris Woakes sends him back saying, well, it doesn't really change anything. And the keeper just lobs the ball back to the bowler. And there's 1 ball left in the match. England needs 17 to win the game. And, well, it's not going to be a quiet night in Mirpur this evening, is it? They're thoroughly enjoying this, and rightly so. 158 for 2, put on the board by Bangladesh. And they're going to go 3-0 against England. Here we go for the final time. Hassan is in. It's a full toss that hits Woakes on the pad. Back to the bowler in his follow-through. And that is that. Bangladesh win by 16 runs. England finish on 142 for 6. Woakes 13 not out. Jordan 2 not out. Handshakes all round. But Bangladesh, a 3-0 series win and a thoroughly well-deserved 3-0 win as well. 158 for 2 from their 20 overs. Only 2 wickets down. Lytton Dass for 73. Roni Talakdar for 24. And you might have expected them to try and thrash it around to all parts towards the end of their innings. They only put 27 on the board in the final 5 overs. We wondered, would that come back to bite them? Well, the answer is no. They knew the conditions, they knew how hard it was to get the ball away, and they've proved that in the end, because England, well, at the halfway stage were 72 for 1. They were 108 for 3 after 15 overs, but they've not been able to see it through. Steve Harmison, well, do you know what? It hurts as an England fan to see them lose a series 3-0, but sometimes you just have to take your hat off to the opposition and say Bangladesh have been the better side throughout these 3 games, and they thoroughly deserve the lap of honour that they're currently going on.
Absolutely, 100%, and congratulations to Bangladesh for beating the world champions. They have been better than England, especially in this game in all 3 facets. They've fielded better than England, they've bowled better than England, and when it came to their batting, they took responsibility that this is always going to be a difficult surface to come in and start an innings off. And Lytton Dass, who has been struggling for runs in recent times, got to 40, took his time and went from sort of 40 to 70 in a crack, and made sure that he got his team with a competitive total on the board. And from there, England were 100 for 1. two experienced players at the crease, played a lot of not just international cricket but shorter format cricket in David Malan and Josh Buttler, and one of them had to take the responsibility, like Litin Das did, and within 3 balls they were both out, and England were right behind the 8 ball, and from there they never really recovered. You can say they were batters short, you could say we didn't have the greatest balance of side, but unfortunately England have been beaten by the better side here, and Bangladesh deserves their day, and their day under lights, and their celebrations and glory. It's been a fantastic series win for Bangladesh.
It's fair to say the 14th over was the key to the whole shooting match. At the start of it, England were 100 for 1, and 2 balls into it, they were 100 for 3. David Malan caught behind by Das off the bowling of Mustafizur, and then Josh Buttler run out to the next ball. Ben Duckett coming in, pushing it to point. They went for the single. It looked like it was Butler's call, in fairness, because he was out the blocks really, really quickly. But Mahedi, with a brilliant run out, going against gravity, going against his body, through at the base of the stumps at the striker's end, and to get Malan for 53, Butler for 40 in consecutive deliveries. That was the telling moment. England, of course, had good players to come, but 2 batters, when they lost both of them in successive balls, Harmy, that was a real arrow through the heart stuff.
It was, and it was the manner of it as well, which you can't have a go. You can't have a go because you try, and when you say you lose a wicket, put the big shot away, look for rotation of strike and start building again. But unfortunately, it was just a misjudgment from Buttler and Duckett, and a fantastic bit of fielding. It was a really good bit of fielding. I can understand why they've gone for the single, because the Mahedi, the Bangladesh fielder's got to run around to go at the end that Josh Buttler was probably ball watching at. But the way he picked the ball up, ran round, kept his balance, head transfer, weight transfer back in towards where he was trying to throw it from, got enough power on it, got the accuracy on it, and hit the stumps. And that was for me, that was the game changer. It wasn't the Malan wicket. The game changer was Butler's wicket, because while Josh Buttler was there, even at 10, 12, 13 runs and over, the England captain, buy himself time, give himself the last few overs, put pressure on Bangladesh. And with the great Josh Buttler at the crease, you'd back Josh Buttler to get over the line. But I think for me, once Josh Buttler went, I think there was alarm bells around the England dressing rooms that we will not get this, or we might not get this. And in the end, they fell a long way short, because 16 runs in a 2020 game, that's an awful lot of runs.
Especially in low scoring games. We keep reminding people here that the average first innings score is 140 odd, but actually in 10 games it's been lower to sort of the 120 mark. It's not the sort of the 200s, 220s we're used to seeing in the Vitality Blast or indeed the IPL and other competitions around the world. It is a lower score, and it kind of makes every run count that little bit more, doesn't it? It makes every run vital. I mean, in this series, England have scored 156 in the first game, been bowled out from the final ball of the 20th and the second for only 117, and 142 for 6 in this one. And it means that Bangladesh have won by 6 wickets, 4 wickets and 16 runs. It's only little things, but added all together, little things become big things.
It's comprehensive, to be honest. It is. When you look at the score lines, they're not one-run wins, or they're not tight contests. Bangladesh have comfortably beaten England for 3 matches, and there will be a lot of fallout of this, a lot of who made this decision that you didn't bring another batter or another 2 batters into the equation. I think that's for further down the line. And when you look at the bowling unit, whether Reece Topley's got a bad back or not, we didn't see Reece Topley. We only seen Wood and Archer together in one game. And for me, it looks as though something must be a matter with Mark Wood as well, and the reason why he hasn't played today, because I don't understand why, after missing the game on Sunday, Mark Wood wouldn't play in this game. He's one of your best bowlers. My honest answer to that is because Jordan and Wokes are probably playing for their batting as well as their bowling in the all-round contest. And Wokes has bowled 1 over. He bowled 1 over in the contest today. Jordan in the last game only bowled 5 balls in the game. It just seems to me...
just on
Yeah.
that, he bowled 1 over today that went for 12, and Wokes bowled the second over of the innings in the second game, 1 over that has cost 7. So in other words, out of a potential 8 overs in the last 2 games, he's bowled 2 overs that have gone for 19, Chris Wokes.
Yeah, and again, there's a lot of question marks on Wokes playing in obviously in the subcontinent. You know, we've got a World Cup coming around the corner. I'm sure that this will go into the thought process of what the best group of players to go there is. I thought Wokes and Sam Curran were fighting for that number 8 spot, that batting all-rounder for the 50 over contest, but you know, reluctance that Josh Buttler wanted to bowl Chris Wokes. He's probably in more for batting because of how short we were. All that has got to come into the thoughts in the melting pot, and we're playing against Bangladesh, and with no, you know, with a huge respect to Bangladesh. It's not India, it's not Pakistan, it's not Australia. They're a good side in their own back garden, but we're world champions in the white ball game. And if England turn around and say, well, we didn't have such and such there, didn't have such and such there, well, that was your choice. That was your choice. There was enough good players who were born and bred in England who could have been in Bangladesh comfortably to give England a better team and probably win the series over in Bangladesh. But unfortunately, whether it's arrogance, whether it's I really don't understand. I'm baffled by how England have got to this position, that only 13 players for a 3-match tournament in the subcontinent, with only 4 frontline batters selected, how you can justify and say that was the right course of action. So yes, there'll always be a fallout when you lose, and it always hurts when you lose just that little bit more. But I think there's some massive questions to be answered on this leg of the winter, because as a whole I think it's been a hugely successive winter for the England cricket team, both red and white ball. But unfortunately it's ended on a bad note, and I think a lot of it is of their own doing.